Right, on to this week's Street Talk then. Big week for Toya and Leanne and The Institute stuff. I tell you what, we're not happy. We're not even happy in the way that we're going to do comedy rants about this. We're going to do this story first, the Toya, Nick's, Leanne's boyfriend story. But I just don't think I can bring it. I can't bring myself to talk about it too long, but we'll give it a go, because that's the first one. That was the main thing that happened this week. Then we're going to move on to better things, including the next storyline. Is a storyline title for you, Gemma. What do you reckon? The makeup kit. Yeah,
I like
because
that
he
one.
wants them to make up with Bernie. Yeah, I did a search on the internet a couple of days ago, online, as the kids call it.
Yeah.
For as many phrases as possible that end in kit, and it's like
Airfix kit.
it goes on forever. PE kit.
Oh yeah. What
Tool
else?
kit.
Toolkit, yeah, that's what he is.
He is a tool, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an arsehole. Toolkit. That's what his nickname is on the show now.
Next up, Busted. That's Steve and Tim.
They could be in a boy band, actually. They do.
It's not the boy band reference.
Tell you what, they do give off the aura of men who were in a boy band when they were in their early 20s and they haven't found what to do in later life.
Well, Simon Gregson, when he came in 89, he was literally cast to get the girls' pulses racing, didn't he? And he and Nick did look at Nick Cochran, did look an awful like they could have been Bros.
They could have been. I mean, they were, weren't they?
Yeah, but no, this is about the Tommy Orpington bust, and I did laugh just at the end of this, remembering it now. It's so stupid. The scene in the hotel that entered just with them going, oh, bust. It's like saying, oh, Beavis and Butt.
You got a laugh or you cry, right, this week?
Then we have a bit more of the Roy Cluse storyline. Well, I'm bundling that up together with all the other.
Is it?
What?
That's not funny either.
Well, Roy has still been a bit of an arse this week, I have to say, but he came out of his shell.
It was me that said it, and I'm still waiting for the backlash because we got backlash before.
No,
about being flippant, but
he came out of his shell by the end of the week.
I think something terrible is going to happen.
Well,
because everyone was too happy and everything was resolved.
Everything's all back to normal by the end of this week. Nothing could ever go wrong again. No, I'm also kind of bundling in Bethany and her phone scam there, and
God.
And the Sarah Louise and Maria and Gary stuff, because it's all basically related to the Lauren storyline, which seems to be bubbling up again this week.
Is
just
Lauren
not
dead?
being called Lauren, because I don't think Lauren's been mentioned by name. So that's all going to come next.
If you had to put money on whether Lauren's alive or dead, right?
Yes.
How much money would you put down?
An awful lot.
Would you?
An awful lot.
No,
really.
No, think about this. If this is really, really real, okay, and you could make say I don't know. Say the bookies are going, it's 10-1.
Mm.
She's dead, right? Really, genuinely, how much money?
About $350. I don't know. I don't ever bet. I might risk £20 on it.
Okay, that
maybe
is
30.
for you. That's quite a lot of money because that's how much you have to be forced into paying to buy someone a present.
Yeah. How much
a
did
gift.
you? What about you?
I wouldn't put money on it at all.
I totally would.
Because I can't predict this show.
I just can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Right, up next we've got the brief engagement story with what's going on with Dee Dee and Joel, forgotten his name, and JD. Which is also going to include all the Betsy stuff from today's episode. And finally, the Ill Will storyline, which seems to have blubbered along to an end on Monday. Let's never speak of it again. So, let's get into this Toya story. It doesn't get too heavy until Wednesday. So, we will still keep a jovial tone. Well, we talk about Mondays, and then I can't promise it's going to carry on from there. So Monday, we do get reference to the fact that I think the last time this story was on the show, Toya was saying that she needed to find somewhere to live, didn't she?
She's one of these.
Away from Nick.
She's like this
Get away from him.
She comes to your house, and first of all, right, you have to make her a special meal because she won't eat.
I just realised, I thought I had brought a cup of tea in.
I did ask you if you had your drink, didn't I?
I'm convinced I'm going to pause it in a minute and get
How
my
much
tea.
money would you bet that you had your tea with you?
Well, I would have bet about £20. Yeah, that my tea was right next to me on the sofa, next to the sofa here, but it's not.
Anyway, Toya comes to your house. You have to make her a special meal, and then she won't leave. Then she starts going and walking around your house, looking at your things, asking you whether your fluffy throw is made of real fur. And if you say no, it's fake fur, she'll say, microplastics.
Yeah, you just can't win.
And then she'll ask you whether your candles are vegan soy.
If I was going to be inviting Toya around my house for a special meal, the big question would be, would I cook a veggie lasagna, or would I not? Because I know that she is such a veggie lasagna connoisseur that I couldn't possibly live up to the best one she's ever had.
You can't cook her a veggie lasagna because one of two things will happen. Either you won't make it well enough and she'll just not like it, or you'll shatter her world by making it the best veggie lasagna she's ever eaten.
Well, I think she only has frozen, to be fair, doesn't it?
I think she makes it and freezes it.
Yeah, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think she does.
You open it. This is why she wants her own place, really, isn't it? So she can go back to having a big chest freezer.
I've asked you guys
full of veggie lasagna.
A chest freezer, and you just... I mean, Sam doesn't need the whole room. He can put the chessboard on the freezer. Just an idea.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Alongside her embryos. So anyway, she's moving out, apparently.
She doesn't have embryos.
I know. Amy, we were wondering a couple of weeks ago whether she was going to get hooked into the Institute after she found out that they were actually seemed to be quite nice people the other day. And yes, the story is going that way. And I'm not particularly bothered by the fact that I don't think Amy would fall for this, because I've kind of got past that with Leanne, because I'm thinking that Leanne seems to be a little bit too street smart to fall for it, but I know Ollie, etc., etc.
Time for a quiz.
But yeah, this is all about Amy going, oh, I'm having quite a few problems in my life at the moment. Mum's not coming back from Spain. She's asking me to look after the flower shop. I need to do my work here. I'm still going to university. I mean, to be fair, she has got every right to complain, hasn't she?
I know, but giving her more seminars doesn't feel like a solution.
It is to Leanne. Seminars is the solution to every problem.
Wait till she finds out what level 6 is.
She will by the end of the week. Well, Leanne does at least. So anyway,
I kind of want Rowan I want Amy to go into this thing, because I want Rowan to find out that he's got an amazing masked avenger on his hands. Imagine if he could use Amy's powers of vengeance for the Institute.
Well, maybe
she'd be ninjaing into people's windows and stealing all their blackmail material.
She would, but I wonder whether she is going to be involved and she's going to take him down,
from within.
Yeah, because he's the ultimate horrible man, which is who she's going up against. So she's got a bit of a nitpick with.
Presently, we don't really know that he's that horrible.
He seems very nice. Does evil smiles every now and then, but who doesn't? On the surface of it, he appears to believe what he's saying. And I've said this before, there are plenty of people who say they have the answer to life's questions, who offer you comfort from something other people might say is imaginary. And some of those people we call Pope. So, how can we really criticise Rowan? And just like Pope's
Rowan
got a
also,
couple more, one or two more people that are
believing him.
I
know, but I'm going to say,
Rowan.
I reckon. Sorry, everybody. The Catholic Church might have a few more skeletons in their closet than the Institute does, just through sheer numbers. You can't deny it.
I will admit that there's been more in the papers over the year, more scandal.
Well, that's because the Pope doesn't phone up and get an injunction out on you and give you a gag order. He's like, yes, so you like.
He sends out his cardinals.
You can't bring down me. I'm the Pope.
No, I thought the cardinals come round and go, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
I thought you were from Rome.
Roman Inquisition.
No, where are
the
you
Spanish
from?
Inquisition are there to interrogate you, and the Roman Inquisition are there to serve you a gag order. That's how it works. Okay.
We've got it sorted now.
Love the Catholic Church, really. Gemma's mum's Catholic.
Yeah, am I now?
Yeah. Anyway, so Amy is saying everything's going wrong, and Anne's like, I've got just the solution for you, young lady. Come into the back. And
I don't think it's controversial to mention there might be a few issues.
No, I know.
I'm not having to go at anyone who's Catholic.
Well, as long as you would be happy for people to say the same about the royal family.
I definitely reckon there's been some wrong-uns in that family.
Yes, exactly.
Some of them ended up in car parks.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, look, we're blathering on. So I'm just trying to get the niceness out about this story before it all goes wrong. Amy's watching the video and she's inspired, whatever it is that she's seen.
I've seen this video. Everyone loves it.
We've seen snippets, haven't we?
Well, not enough to convince me. I think there's some kind of hypnotic effect.
Do you reckon it's Rowan's hair?
Oh yeah, he does have great hair.
Audrey would love to get her hands on that Barnett.
Who was it? Who was it? Was talking about a gravy?
That was
waterfall?
Emma on Seb.
Oh, yeah, sad, isn't it? She'd never get to see this hair.
No.
And she also...
Tell you what, Emma would well be taken in by the Institute,
would love it.
wouldn't she?
She's on level 10.
Yeah, within 10 minutes.
She'd be off to Australia, starting the Australian branch if they don't have one already.
Yes, he could use her for that, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, darling, carry on.
Anyway, no, it's fine. So Amy comes back into the bar. Toya's there, like, clearly watching on, very concerned, as yet another Weatherfieldian is taken in by the evil Institute charms. But Amy does say she'd like to join up, but she can't afford the membership fees. I'm wondering whether Deirdre is going to end up paying for Amy's Institute membership at some point.
It is educational.
That's what she would say. Deirdre left this money to Amy for educational purposes, and she would totally say, this is educating me about my mental health. And, like, I don't know how much of a tight hold Ken has got on the purse strings. I don't think he does at all. I think that it's Amy's there ready to use as she sees fit. So, yeah, I think that she could be joining. I mean, she doesn't really feature particularly for the rest of the week, but I'm definitely got my eye on her about whether she's gonna go in there. I would wonder whether she would get in and then realise this is a load of bunkum, but I don't know.
But is it a load of bunkum again? So far,
Parts of
they've
it
used
are.
unsavoury methods, right? But Toya doesn't, even the end of the week gets a bit silly. But
yeah,
she seems. I mean, she looked a bit like she wasn't quite sure whether she was really thought that was good or not. But what's the problem? I don't know. So far, it feels
it's just
like it
robbing
wouldn't
you of your
actually
money.
be a waste
it's
of
shouting
money.
at you and making you feel sad.
Yeah, but I feel sad
But
when I
they're
watch
making you feel happy
Coronation
again.
Street sometimes.
This is the ultimate cult, isn't it?
And we have to
the cult
pay-
of Coronation Street. We've had to pay.
Money so that we don't have to watch adverts.
Yeah, we have to pay our
But do you know
$19.99
what?
a year to get ITVX subscription.
I think
You're right.
I'd pay 20 quid just to have Trevor comfort me.
Yeah, we have.
Because I do feel like
miss
Trevor needs to come and
We've
tell
had
me
the
everything will
advert,
be
so
alright. And tell me that
Anyway,
I look beautiful.
So yeah, Amy
You
is
can't afford
sucked
the
in.
fees.
But she can't afford the fees. I was a bit surprised, well, not surprised at all really, but it could have been an opportunity to have mentioned that Simon seemed to quite like the Institute as Amy's cousin. Are they cousins? I think they're cousins. So she might have been like, oh, well, he was into the Institute for a little bit, so it can't be too bad. But hey, they didn't mention it. So Toya sidles up to Amy towards the end of the episode, and I like this. She's like, look, not allowed to talk about the Institute because of an NDA, but if there were, I can't remember what she
I don't
says.
think
Like,
she gets what she's signed here.
She-
She says,
if there was a
organisation I hadn't signed an NDA about.
Yeah, that was
kind
it,
of
that
like
was it.
the Institute. I tell you to avoid them. That they're a bunch of criminals and wrong-uns.
I loved that. Don't think that would stand up in court
I don't
if
think
Rowan
so.
found out about it, but it was a waste of time anyway because Amy was like, "Well, I'm a
do what I
grown up
want."
now. I can make my own mind up and decide what I want. I'd never sign up for this if I didn't think it was legit." Toya looks worried.
It's going to get worse,
but
Toya.
the week does get a bit worse for Toya. This is true, but I don't know. Amy just seems to evaporate. Maybe she gets sucked in and she is. Maybe she's on the
She's
retreat
reality
for the
coding
rest of
her
the
way to the next level.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, no, there was a little bit of it on Wednesday, I suppose, but yeah, it wasn't really about her after this. It was about the tragedies that befell the rest of the members of the family, which is what we're going to move on to talking about now.
Well, you say we, but I'm gonna let you take this one. I'm not gonna say anything.
Gemma is. I'm kind of mad about where this story has gone. Gemma even more so. So I'll take over. I'll talk about this one.
I think you'll do a really great job because you're super sensitive.
Okay, well, you sit back, you listen at you with your cider, and then chip in if you want to, and if not, then I'll catch you on the next story.
I shan't. I'm just gonna relax.
I think this could be the
My
Gemma
blood
answer
pressure.
to turn to all Gemma. Fine, right. So what happened on Wednesday, Michael? Well, let me tell you. Medical dramas. That's what happened on Wednesday. And seriously, what is this? What has this story become? If you cast your mind back, listeners, to a couple of weeks ago when I was somewhat irate about Toya and Nick getting together, having a bit of a kiss, having a bit of a bonk, I thought the story couldn't get any worse. It has. This week it's plummeted. It's plunged into a horrific cesspool, all because whoever is in charge of this can't just be happy with the fact that it's a crazy cult story. The cult stuff in this continues to be brilliant. I am thoroughly entertained by everything that Rowan and his little cronies get up to. I don't need an affair, and I certainly don't need a baby from somebody who is infertile. Now, I know that she's not pregnant by the end of the week, and I really, really, really don't need this to be another horrible medical issue storyline. By the end of the week, it looks like Toya's got herself ovarian cancer. Seriously, this was supposed to be... It wasn't supposed to be a light-hearted story, but I was kind of gearing myself up. I was settled in comfortably, we both were, that this would be a fun kind of kooky cult story in the same way that the 90s one was. I know that got heavy, I know the baby died in it and everything, but this is literally the last thing that I could have wanted from this story. Toya having some horrible medical condition. It's just not fun to watch. And the fact that it's happening to Toya, who is one of our most favourite characters on the show, I just hate it. I absolutely hate it. And it just fits in with everything that's happened. It just falls into the same pattern as every other Corrie actress who shows a talent for squeezing out tears over the past, I'd say 5 years. It's probably happened longer, but, you know, Lucy Fallon, fantastic, gets thrown into that grooming storyline, and she just has tragedy for a year. Sally Carman has done nothing but cry. Bhavna Limbachiet, all the horrific stuff that she went through, literally crying Rana became a meme. You got who else we had? Well, obviously Jane Danson has been through her fair share of it. Catherine Tilsley as Eva. Why do the Corrie women have to be subjected to this kind of rubbish? Oh, obviously the big one, Sinead, another cancer storyline. Was that the last cancer storyline Corrie had? I don't know, but it was. They all did a really good job. Katie McGillan was fantastic. So was I got Rob Mallard. Even Beth, the character, came out well from this because Lisa George is a great actress. They just make her a cow most of the time. And I have got no doubt that everybody involved in this story is going to be equally amazing. Georgia Taylor is one of Corrie's strongest actresses at the moment. You could just see that from today's scenes. But it doesn't mean I want to see her doing this kind of acting. I'm fuming. We're both absolutely fuming about this. And the fact that Gemma is saying nothing about this just kind of shows that this is no joke. So I'm going to run quickly through what happened with this. So Wednesday, Toya's got a bad stomach. Leanne, of course, just saying, well, you know, negative emotions can lead to physical symptoms. So she's still bleating on about her institute theories and verses. Have they got a Bible in the Institute? They should do. It's probably like a computer manual or something, I don't know. But Nick comes home from... Nick decides that he's going to work from home today. Toya says... she'd previously said that she couldn't go into work. Now she's saying, well, yeah, I'm going to go in now because she clearly doesn't want to be left alone with this guy. Can't keep her hands off him, clearly. There's clearly still an air between them. So, Amy does appear a little bit later on Wednesday's episode. She's still umming and ahhing about whether to go to an Institute seminar or not. But this is when Toya collapses in the bistro, clutching her stomach. And Leanne says, right, let's get you checked out. And Toya wants to go by herself, but Leanne does... Now, what happens? Toya just goes home in the end, doesn't she? Because she doesn't want to go off. She thinks she's going to be fine. She's been a brave soldier about it. She gets there. Nick's working from home there. He pops off to get her some tomato soup, which is apparently the cure of all stomach problems. But just the very second that he's out the door, she doubles over in pain again, and she's writhing around after the break. And oh dear, her phone batteries ran out. Clearly didn't have it on charge last night because I'm thinking this is still morning, this is happening. But luckily for her, Nick comes back in, so that was mini drama for nothing. And she's like saying, "Oh, it really, really hurts." Fantastic performance. I'm trying to be flippant about this, but just to make myself not remember how horrible the story is. But anyway, Dee says, right, let's get you to the hospital. So she's there. Nick's at her side later in the hospital. They're saying, oh, what could it be? Could it be an ulcer? And yeah, they're still going back and forth over, should we talk about this thing between us or should we not? Nick says, there's so many things I want to say, but I know I can't. And she kind of gives them an understanding nod. Meanwhile, Leanne's with Rowan over at, was it the Bistro? I can't remember. He's saying that she's got this malware session tomorrow. What is it? Says Leanne. Oh, you'll have to find out, says Rowan. I heard about this. I thought, malware session? Yeah, okay, so that fits into the computer theming. What could it be? I didn't give it a whole lot of thought about what it could be. But what it turned out to be, probably I wouldn't ever have thought of, but it was brilliant. I loved it. But anyway, he says it's just going to assess how far you've come and how strong you are. Simple, easy. And then this is when David comes in and says, oh no, Leanne, Toya's in hospital. So she rushes over there, all afret, and Toya hasn't got any news about what's happened yet. But luckily, a doctor comes in and quite, out of the open, just out of nowhere says, oh, good news, you're pregnant. And I don't know, to me, because I am fairly insensitive person myself, I was like, oh, okay, fine, he's announcing that she's pregnant. But I have seen some people online point out the fact that blurting that out in front of other family members, in front of anybody, I think Toya said that it was okay that they could say whatever. But I think maybe just the congratulatory tone of the reveal is maybe, I don't know, maybe you could have judged that on a little bit better. Not everybody wants to hear this news, especially when there isn't another guy there sort of holding her hand. So she's clearly to us at least, not got a partner at the moment that might have been helping to get her up the duff. But anyway, this guy's pretty certain that she's pregnant. Toy's like, oh, how can that possibly be? And straight away, when I saw this, it's like the bottom dropped out of this story for me. Now, luckily, it was able to raise itself up a little bit towards the end of the week when it turned out that it wasn't a baby, but then what it actually is worse, maybe. For storyline purposes, I'm talking about it at least. But anyway, there was, the internet blew up on Wednesday night. So I was looking on Reddit, I was looking on the Digital Spy Soap forum, all the place where lovely, calm and rational conversation goes on. And but I don't blame people for getting mad about this. This really felt to me like it was tearing up 5+ years of character development with Toya. How long's she been in it now? It's been 7 or 8 actually, isn't it? Her whole story since she's been back has basically been revolving around the fact that she can't have children. And even Georgia Taylor, back when the Susie storyline was going on, Eva and baby Susie, kind of said, I don't want Toya to ever get pregnant. I think it would make a mockery of all the struggles that she went through. There's not always a happy ending for people in the same situation as Toya, so it would be a bit of a betrayal of her character for her to have a baby. And I totally agreed. I don't need Toya to have a baby. I think it would make a mockery of the story. And I'm going to say, characters, when they get babies on Coronation Street, usually get a bit baby brain and get a bit boring, and then all their stories are related around babies for the next 10 years. So how long does the baby stay a baby? Or kid, you know what I mean? So I was no way happy for it to go down that route. And the fact that it would tie her to Nick. I do not want Toya and Nick to stay together. Neither of us do. And this would have meant that they wouldn't have been able to escape from each other. I don't know how they could have come back from it. I still don't know how they're going to come back from this, because clearly the affair, one night stand, it's not an affair yet. Please don't let it become an affair. It's still going to come out at some point, because it always does. Rowan knows about it. David knows about it by the end of this episode. I do not know how they're going to come out from this, but a baby would have made it 1,000,000 times worse. So yeah, when I heard this, I just, oh man, I was fuming. I was absolutely fuming. But Leanne thinks it's great. I mean, I suppose maybe you would. She didn't really seem too confused at the beginning about who the father was. So there is that. I don't know what that says about her. But she was just pleased, I suppose, that Toya, who has been wanting to get pregnant for all this time, for years and years, she's wanted a baby, she's now possibly going to have one. So I kind of makes sense if Leanne is happy for her. Toya's understandably cagey about this, and I was kind of watching her reaction as the episode was going on, and she seemed more happy than not. She was obviously very determined to keep the baby. She has the conversation with Nick later. And this kind of makes sense. If you didn't, it would be like looking a gift horse in the mouth, wouldn't it? And you would always, if you got rid of the baby in Toya's position, you would be regretting that for the rest of your life. As difficult as a situation it would cause for you and your family. But anyway, Nick, I feel bad for him as well. A lot of this was about Toya's reaction to everything. So Nick has obviously had his whole world turned upside down by this revelation as well. Toya says, when Leanne asks who the dad was, Toya said, "Oh, it's a one night stand," and Leanne's like, "Ooh, like with Oliver." That's the only way that us Bastards can get pregnant with a one night stand, apparently. Is he local then, Mr. Super Sperm? And Toya says, "Look, I don't want to talk about it. The baby might not even survive. It's early. There's a pain that's going on. This is super early. It's only been, 2 weeks since she and Nick got together? I don't know how quickly these things happen. Don't ask me about this. But anyway, so as far as she's concerned, the baby must be Nick's. So Leanne's still digging for details later. The father might want to know this. Toya's not interested in going down that route. So as soon as Leanne's gone, Toya confirms to Nick, yes, it is your baby. And this is where she says, look, I'm going to keep it. This could be my last chance. I mean, we thought that she'd had her last chance years ago, but this is their last chance. So Nick says, well, what are we going to do? Are you going to move away? Are we going to move away together? Are we going to just pretend like nothing's happened? We all know that that's never going to work. You cannot keep a secret, baby daddy secret in Coronation Street. Remember when Steve revealed that he was Ollie's dad? There's no winner here. He doesn't know what to do. Leanne's back in the bistro later. Rowan's been talking to Amy and thinks that she'd make a great recruit. And Leanne then goes up to him and tells him in all confidence, and we know what that means for Rowan, that Toya's pregnant. And he's like, oh, amazing. Oh, fantastic. Good for Toya. And then he gives this great evil glare because he's clearly put two and two together straight away with this. This is dynamite for him to use against anybody, Toya, Nick, Leanne, at some point in the future. So he knows, well, he thinks he knows, that Toya's pregnant with Nick's baby. So, back to Toya in the hospital. She's in deep thought later. Leanne comes in and says, look, I'm gonna... do you want me to tell father? I could do. Do you want me to let... Toya's like, nope, just don't want father involved in this. And Leanne says, whatever, that's fine. Whatever happens, me and Nick have got your back. End of the episode, we have David finding Nick all maudlin on Maxine's bench, and Nick just comes straight out and says it. Toya's pregnant and it's mine. What am I going to do? So David enters the arena of the Institute story. I don't know how much of a main player he's going to be. It could be very confusing having both Jack P. Shepherd and Emrys Cooper on the screen at the same time, because they're not dissimilar in look, especially if you look at them from the back. But yeah, David now knows, and I'm wondering, he's not the best at keeping secrets. Shona's bound to find out, isn't she? I think David's going to tell someone. I'm just trying to think of as many ways as I can that this could come out, because, like I said, it will. But David, fair play to him, has been a good, reliable brother so far. Nice shoulder to cry on. Friday. This is when Leanne's got her malware session booked in with Rowan, and apparently Institute members from all over the country are coming up to Weatherfield today, checking in to the Chariot Square Hotel to do whatever it is that they're going to be doing. Quite important, Leanne says. Nick's just totally peed off by all of this because Toya is in hospital and she's just worried about going to do this, what she sees as a complete waste of time ceremony. But Leanne's like, oh, she's just pregnant, it's fine. We got Sam's little Scrabble themed card. That was lovely. I enjoyed it. I don't know how much I want Sam involved in this story particularly, and I love Sam. It's a bit heavy for him, isn't it? But I did very much enjoy his Scrabble themed card. I suppose you can't make one out of chess pieces, can you? So David, I said he was a good brother, but he was taking the mick out of Nick a little bit in the cafe later about the baby, and he's like, look, mate, are you not tempted to tell Toya to get an abortion? Isn't Leanne worth fighting for? And Nick's just not sure anymore. As the episode goes on, we hear Nick airing his innermost thoughts about the state of his relationship with Leanne. And as somebody who's watched them on and off for 25 years, I really do want to fight their corner, and I think that if this story were to come between them, it would, I wouldn't be devastated, but it'd be a real shame, because of course they have their flaws. They're not the Corrie's most iconic couple ever, but I do want them to stay together. I really do, and I don't want Toya to come in between them. But Nick's not sure. He says, he either says it here or later, like, Leanne's a different person now. I don't know whether she's worth fighting for. Sad times. So back at the hospital, Leanne's there. Toya's worried about what this scan's going to find. We were told on Wednesday's episode that she was going to have a scan. What sort of scan was it? I can't remember. An inside your womb scan, because of the pains that she's getting. That she's still a little bit nervous, because just because she's pregnant, it doesn't mean that she should be doubling over in pain. So something's not right here. She says, what if it's an ectopic pregnancy? They're kind of throwing out all these theories that the viewers are thinking. And I didn't give it a whole lot of thought about what it could actually be between Wednesday's and Friday's episode, because I was still just fuming about the baby, what I thought was the baby. But I did see some people online throwing out these ideas about what it could be, and I think ectopic pregnancy was the go-to idea. Like, most people were in agreement that yes, it's probably that's happened. I think I'm right. I'm saying that the synopsis for today's episode, for Friday's episode, said that Toya gets another bombshell. So the theory from most people going into this was that Wednesday was she finds out that she has a baby. Friday she finds out that it's an ectopic pregnancy, and it all goes wrong there. But the fact that Toya in this scene suggested that this is maybe what it could be, that just said, well, it's not that then, is it? It's going to be something else. The rug's going to be pulled out from under. You're not going to reveal what it actually is in a character just suggesting ideas. I had seen some people suggesting online that it was going to be ovarian cancer. I really didn't want it to be. Don't want my Toya to get cancer. Don't want another cancer storyline at all. But anyway, that idea isn't put forward here, I think. Which I guess made it more likely that that's what it was going to be. Anyway, Leanne tries to give her a bit of an institute lecture about the power of positive thinking or something, I don't know. But luckily for Toya, a nurse comes in and rescues her from this, saying, right, you can come down, have your scan now. And Leanne goes along with her, leaving Nick. It's looking a little bit, what can I do here? He's a bit lost, isn't he, Nick? So the scan's going ahead. The ultrasound, that's it. That's what ladies have. Ultrasound scan is going ahead. It's so sad. Toya and Leanne are so excited about it. Toya's still nervous, but is excited and says, "Oh, do I get a printout? No, it's too early. You got to wait for 12 weeks for that." Leanne's more excited, and then you get the horrible moment where the nurse says, "Oh, I need to go and speak to my colleague," and we've seen this before in Coronation Street. Lots of people, I guess, will have experienced this in real life. That's where it's like, Toya's worried. What's happened here? I think we've got an idea. So the nurse is back after the break with a doctor who sits down and tells her that he doesn't think she was ever pregnant at all. And Leanne is going right off on her high horse about this. Like, what do you mean about that? You got our hopes up. What kind of quacks do you think you are? All that kind of stuff. And the doctor says, look, well, there could be other medical explanations for you having these, for getting this false positive, I guess now, result. We're going to look into it. Really sorry that this isn't the news that you wanted. Yeah, and it's really difficult for me watching this scene, because the last thing that I wanted, as I said earlier, both of us, was for Toya to have a baby with Nick, but now we've got this. And it's going to be even a sadder storyline. If it had been just a baby, it would have been a bit of a kind of sneaking about, oh, what do we do? Let's not let Leanne find out, quiet whispers sort of story, which would be soapy and dramatic, and I wouldn't have enjoyed it because of the characters involved, but now it's just going to involve lots of crying and stuff. By the end of the episode, we don't get confirmation that she's got ovarian cancer, but when the doctor comes and speaks to her later on, the idea is thrown out there, so I am just presuming that this is what they're doing because Coronation Street likes to throw misery at their great actresses, or the characters that the great actresses play. So they're back in the ward later, telling Nick, and everyone's pretty downhearted. I was in solidarity with them there. And Nick says, look, we're all there for you. He's fighting back the tears too, because he's been told that he ain't got a kid. He started to come round to the idea that he was going to be a dad again. Kind of skipping ahead a little bit, there's the scene with David later on, who kind of says that he's sad about this, that isn't it better for and all round if that this has happened, you don't, for all the lies and everything that would have to come. And Nick says, no, I wanted to be a dad. I don't know, did Nick want to be a dad? Does that make sense for his character? Why would he want to be a dad? He's already a dad to Sam. He wanted to be a dad a few years ago, I think. I'm remembering this right? When he was obviously Ollie's father figure before he died, and then he was like, he wanted to be a dad, and then Sam came along, so I don't necessarily buy the idea that he wanted a kid, but I don't know what it's like to be told that I've got a kid on the way. And I guess that for lots of people, you hear the news and then that's your life and you got your heart set on it and everything. But anyway, he's obviously devastated, but he can't show it. He can join in with the tears, but Leanne can't know what he's actually really crying for. So the consultant gynecologist comes in later, and he confirms that they found a growth on one of her ovaries. That's what caused the positive pregnancy test. It could be ovarian cancer. Like I say, we don't know for sure by the end of the episode that this is what it is, but all the signs are pointing there. They're going to do a biopsy, they're going to do a CT scan, and he says, don't go online. You don't want to get into any unnecessary rabbit holes about this one. Of course, after the break, she's already Googling it. I don't think she finds out too much there. I've not done a whole lot of research into this myself. I do not know. Yeah, I don't want to know that. I'm assuming that Toya will come through this. The absolute worst outcome for this, for me, and for Gemma, is that this is Toya's exit storyline. As far as I know, it's not. But equally, we don't know. We don't know that. I surely, only 5 years, is it 5 years after Sinead's cancer story, they wouldn't do it again to Toya? And they have had other cancer storylines in the past that have just been kind of short, like Robert, because he had his testicular cancer storyline, didn't he? Robert Preston, and that was that storyline that got him hooked on painkillers? I can't remember. And that was kind of nipped in the bud fairly quickly. And I kind of hope that this is what's going to be the case for this one. But I don't know. But I did look for, what are the survival rates, and it's all very, it kind of says, you've got 50% of people who get the diagnosis, 50% of them are still alive 5 years after the diagnosis. You obviously can't say what percentage will live forever, but it feels to me from the scant research that I've done, if this has been found early on for Toya, then her chances could be quite good. So that's what we're holding out for here. But I'm just still fuming that they even had to go down this route. Why couldn't it have just been a cult story? Why the affair? Why this? It was fine as it was. It was great as it was. Anyway, so Leanne's meanwhile trying to contact Rowan because she's obviously got her malware session later today, and she's been texting him to say that she can't go because of what's been going on with Toya. He's not been replying, so she says, look, I'm just going to pop off to the hotel, going to let him know that I can't do the session, I will be straight back. So she tootles off there, leaving Nick alone with Toya, and they tell each other how sorry they are. Toya's crying, she's trying to put a brave face on, and then you get, we've seen Toya dissolve into tears before, and it's never less affecting the number of times you see it. But as Nick walks out of the room, leaving Toya just face full of tears on the hotel bed, it was such a great performance, so good, so sad. Oh man, I wish I didn't have to see it. I'll stop saying that at one point maybe. So meanwhile, Leanne turns up at the hotel and catches Rowan up with what's happened. Rowan says, well, you can stay. Wouldn't it be better to stay here? This malware session is the most crucial part of your development. It's game changing. So I'm like, I kind of did want her to stay just because I was so curious to find out what a malware session was. I think if we got through the end of this week and I didn't know what a malware session was at the Institute, I would have felt shortchanged here. So well done to Rowan for keeping his hooks into her there. She can deal with the fallout with Nick and Toyah later as far as I'm concerned there. Nick is back with Toyah in the next scene saying, I'm not pleased that you're not pregnant. I'd like to have been a father. Oh, maybe it was her that I was thinking about earlier and not David. And then this is when the nurse comes in to come and give Toyah her biopsy. Leanne is still not back at this point, so poor Toyah, is kind of left thinking, oh, she's abandoned me then. She's chosen Rowan over me. She's chosen the Institute over her own sister. What a cow. So this is when we get to see the malware scene. Oh, I loved it. This was a light relief. Not because I like to see Leanne suffer. I'm a Leanne. I like Leanne now. I'm a massive Leanne fan at the moment. But as somebody who is enjoying the Institute story for the weird cultiness of it, this was right up my street. I even put up with the bizarro Ian McLeod editing techniques that went on. Would it have been better without it? I don't know. But so basically, so she's getting led blindfolded into a circle, like she's walking the plank or something, and then there's all these people sitting in chairs. She stands there in the middle, blindfold still on. Rowan says, are you ready? And then this is when they start shouting stuff out at her. And if you've seen the cult episode of The Simpsons, which I really think that the Corrie writers are drawing from here, there must be, sure. I guess that they're looking everywhere for their inspiration. But there's a scene in that where Homer is sitting in the middle of a circle that's got Barney and Otto and Skinner and everything around the outside. They're saying, you're so fat, you're ugly, you're smelly. And Homer's just well, yeah, you got me there, I suppose I am. And that doesn't work for him. But it certainly does a number on Leanne, because they are calling out all these things that she's done. And I've watched this scene 3 or 4 times now to try and pick out some of the old storylines they referenced. So as well as just saying, oh, you're toxic, you're a vortex, you're a lie, you're a cheat, you're an adulteress, they bring up a drug addiction story, which I think that must have been the stuff around the turn of the millennium with Jez Quigley, drug dealer, same thing. Obviously she was drug dealing for Harvey a couple of years ago as well. Somebody calls her out on selling her body, so her time as a sex worker is mentioned. Your son was conceived of adultery, so this is talking about Ollie. Arsonist, so that was a bit of a deep cut when she set the Valandros on fire. You drove Simon away. My personal favourite for deep cut reference was manipulating a man with dementia. So this is Mike Baldwin back when he was on his last legs, and she and Danny Baldwin, who she was seeing at the time, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think they found another will. It was a bit like the Glenda and George story, but a lot better in every sense of the word. They were trying to get Mike to think that one version of the will was that left everything to Danny was the real one. I don't know, but they were basically trying to manipulate him into giving his money to Danny rather than the rest of the family. And poor Leanne, throughout the whole of this, the tears are coming down from underneath the blindfold. The heads are kind of floating around on the screen. I will say that I'm not sure that the performances of the people sitting around in the circle were the best, but you can't have everything. And they shout, they're hurling all these things that she thinks that she's uploaded this to. I'm just using the language myself now. She thinks that she's confessed this to Rowan in confidence, and so far, I don't think that she's thought or said or voiced the thought that, hang on a minute, how do all these people know this stuff about me? When she had that upload session with Rowan a couple of months ago, with Cabin in the Woods and everything, he assured her that this would go no further. It was just literally about confessing her sins, for want of a better phrase. But all of these people know, and I wonder whether, when eventually she starts to see that the Institute's maybe not all it's cracked up to be, is she going to realise, hang on a minute, Rowan has shared this information with all these other people. He's a bit of a wrong un, he must be. But then equally, by the end of it, she's thinking it was all for her own good, because they're shouting all this stuff at her, and then it ends with them chanting, "Say it, say it, say it," and she says, "I'm broken." Rowan steps in, saying, "Right, that's enough, that's enough." So Leanne's left sobbing in the middle of the circle. Rowan's hands on her back and says, "Do you want to fix yourself, rid yourself of your past and your mistakes, to be reborn?" "Yes," says Leanne. And then the circle members are like a flicker switch, and they're like, "Oh, you can do it, Leanne. You can be successful. You can be loved, adored. You can be free." I say it's based on that Simpsons episode partially, but I guess that this is a technique that other cults, well or lesser known, may well employ to break the spirits and hook in and hoodwink their potential recruits. And Leanne, by this point, when I was talking to Gemma about this earlier, she was saying, "Oh, this would make me so mad if people were shouting this stuff out about me." And I think for a lot of people, if you hadn't been part of the Institute for all this time and gradually had all your sense of self-worth sucked away from you, and then you would say, "Hang on, why don't you say this about me? Sod off," and then she'd have left. But she was in just the right receptive state for Rowan for it to have the exact effect that he wanted. And I mean, it must have been a bit of a field day for the people in the circle, because I don't know, are they higher than level 6? I guess they must have been, but they're probably used to doing this to people who aren't soap characters for 25 years with a massive history of many dubious acts. I mean, just the arson bit, for most people, that's going to be enough to get them to confess that they want to be fixed. But Leanne's got a list as long as your arm of things that she's done wrong. So the people in the circle are like, "Bloody hell, who is this that went? And do we want her? Do we want this woman in our cult? She's going to set us on fire. She's gonna sell us out. I don't know." But anyway, she's by the end of this scene surrounded by these adoring followers of the Institute, including lovely Rowan, and she takes the blindfold off. She's shaken, but really smiley and happy that these people are now all saying, "Oh, you're wonderful, you're great, you can do it, you can be successful, you can be free." And then they take her out into the lobby later, and she's saying, "Oh, I feel really great after this. All the heaviness inside me is gone. I feel like I've done it all myself." It's like this is exactly what Rowan wants to hear. And she's like, "Oh, I know that it was pretty tough at the beginning, but yeah, it's all good in the end, all good." And Rowan says, "Yeah, you Leanne, this is the ultimate test. You passed with flying colours, and you're now level 6. Now you can really help Toya as well." I did not go into today's episode thinking that I was going to see Leanne reach level 6. I was thinking more going into today's episode about what horrible fate was going to befall Toya rather than what Leanne was going to get up to. But that did tickle me when he told her that she was at level 6. And I just wanted to climb up the ranks. It's starting to get... I wondered how much meat the Institute had on its bones, and does it get deeper and darker, or is it more just like self-help stuff with a bit of a dark edge to it? But this does feel like it's the next level. Even when she's talked about being reborn, then that's got the religious bent to it that I was kind of looking for a little bit from this story. And I just want this part of the story to run and run and run. I want to see how crazy it can get. But anyway, meanwhile, over at the hospital, Toya's had a biopsy. Leanne's still not there. She has to come back next week to wait for her results. So they can't wait for Leanne any longer there. She and Nick head off home. So they're back at the flat, mega peed off about Leanne, understandably. And she didn't turn up when she said she would. She said she'd come right back. She didn't. Toya at this stage is like, oh, why am I surprised? These nutcases have got you wrapped around their little finger. But Leanne's making it worse by saying, oh, Toya, don't you understand? I'm at a higher level of consciousness now. And Toya said, I can't hear this right now. Nick says it's a load of rubbish. Toya storms out. Leanne says, but I've done all this for Toya. And Nick says, no, you've done it for yourself. Everyone seems to hate Leanne at the moment. I'm still totally on her side. There was another thread on the Coronation Street Reddit recently about which characters would you want to kill off, and Leanne got so much hate for it, but this isn't her fault. She's fallen into the trap. It's the grooming thing again. I don't want to accuse anyone of victim blaming here, and we've both been Leanne haters in the past. But I want her to stay on in the Institute for a bit longer just to see how deep it goes, but I want her to be redeemed and come out of this and, God, just get forgiven by Toya, and for her to forgive Toya when it eventually comes out. It's not too late to fix this massive rift that's looming between the Battersby sisters, and that's how I kind of want it to be. I want Leanne to come out this positive and triumphant. I don't need this to be another one of these stories where a female character on Coronation Street goes through harrowing hardships and then is a shadow of themselves for the next 6 months to a year, like Yasmin is, like Nina was. There's tons. I don't need that. I just want nice happy ending for this. Somehow, I don't know how they can get there after today's story developments. I really, really don't. But anyway, that's the last that we see of Toya and Leanne for the episode. I think there's just one more scene left, which is when Nick goes to number 8 to see David, and this is the only place that he can really let out his true feelings. He just looks sad. He does a bit of a sad. I can't remember whether it was this scene. And David says, "How are you feeling?" He goes, "Sad," and goes, There's a proper sad emoji face, and he catches David up with what's been going on. He says, like, I know the baby would have been a mess, but the way Leanne is at the moment, I don't know whether I want to... Don't know whether she's turned into someone else. I'm not sure that I'm in love with her anymore, he says to David. Do you think you might be in love with Toya? Asks David. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore, says Nick. Yeah, so that was a bit of a bummer. It's been looking this way for a while, and I was very sceptical. Still am. I'm not supporting it, but I was very sceptical about the idea that Nick would do this behind Leanne's back when he has been so besotted with her before, and she was his teenage love, etc., etc. Although you could say the same thing about Tracy and Steve, but that's a different story. But yeah, to say that he doesn't know if he loves her anymore, that is sad, and I'm hoping that I don't know what I hope for this. It's just turned into a bit of a mess. It makes more sense now. It's starting to make more sense now that he might want to seek solace in Toya. I don't think Toya's got an excuse either for going behind her sister's back and getting jiggy with her fiance, ex-boyfriend, whatever. But it's more understandable now, and I think that the great performances from all the actors involved here are helping to sell it, even though this is not a route that I or Gemma, I speak for her here, wanted this story to go down. That's kind of it, really. It's just a massive bummer. It's a real bummer. I don't need a cancer story. I don't need my Toya to have cancer. I didn't want the affair. I'm glad that she's not going to have a baby, although it makes me wonder, could that happen? I don't think so. I don't think that we are going to have Toya getting pregnant. That would be if people are mad on after Wednesday's episode that Toya, who we've been told again and again and again can't get pregnant, if they were mad after Wednesday's episode when they were told that she was pregnant, if 6 months down the line, whatever, I don't know, she's told, oh look, you have magically got pregnant again, the floodgates all open, then man, oh man. But I think I trust Corrie not to let that happen. But yeah, I don't know where the story is going now. I hope it's over quickly, but not so quickly that it feels like it was a total waste of time and they've made a mockery of this horrible condition just for cheap drama and shocks and cliffhangers and stuff. It's really, really tough. It's really, really tough. I guess we will see where it leads us with. Did anybody enjoy this? You like the drama? You are perfectly welcome to have enjoyed this. If you did, by the way, just because we didn't do it, you can like it if you want. But this is not for us. But it wasn't the only other story in Coronation Street this week, so let's move on from that and talk about some lighter stuff. And hopefully Gemma will be able to join in with me now. She's been very, very, very quiet after that massive monologue from me. But Gemma, what went on with Paul and Gemma and Kit this week?
All kinds of things.
Oh, still sad stuff, but not as sad. Well, apart from, I'll let you talk.
Thank you.
Sorry,
I'm
in the groove of this now. You did let me talk then.
On Monday, Bernie's telling Dev she's worried about the big reveal because she's organised that she's going to tell Gemma and Paul something later.
Yeah, about Kit being...
Don't worry, it's not bad news, she says. She's going to tell them that, they've got a secret brother. I can't believe they didn't see this coming. They're in a soap.
Why?
Everyone's got a secret.
Everyone has got a secret sibling, yeah.
So, Bernie...
There's so much of... I don't think this ever happens in real life, but it is definitely a soap trope where somebody, prepares somebody for a big surprise they're going to reveal to them.
You wouldn't be able to do this to me.
Tell me now. I need to know now.
I'll be like, I'm not having it. Tell me now or don't tell me ever. I don't like secrets.
Well, I don't think
like
anybody would be like, oh yeah, okay, I'm
Yeah,
fine with that.
I hate
but
it
it
when
seems
they
to
do
be
this.
done right.
They do it on
We're just
soaps
going to
all the
book a
time.
table at the bistro. I've got something to tell you later.
No, I want to know now. What is it? What is it? Tell me. What is
Yeah.
it? Something horrible. What is it?
And
Anyway.
if she had told them there and then, it would have saved a lot less drama later in the week as
It
well,
would have
before
done,
Kit
wouldn't
got his claws into them.
Well, she tells Kit, it's on later. Toolkit. He arrives at the cafe and says, look, let's meet up at the pub and
1:30.
and we'll go over it together and work out how we're going to do it. And he's acting very suspicious.
He is quite shady. Mm-hmm. I can't figure him out. On Friday last week, when he was playing with the quads, it's like, Kit's lovely. And you said
he's
that
up to something.
I was like, I'm going back and forth. I'm getting whiplash.
Okay, well, that's why he's an interesting character.
Yeah.
Because he's not like, friendly, likeable, I can cope with this in a healthy way kind of guy.
And a lot of what he does is that kind of is understandable.
If Paul wasn't involved, I'd find this a lot more funny. Because Paul is unfortunately incredibly vulnerable and has not got a lot of time left for shenanigans, really.
No, I certainly think that the bedroom shenanigans with Billy have stopped a while ago.
I wasn't talking about that
well,
kind
I'm
of
just
shenanigans.
saying any kind of shenanigan.
No messing around, please. I've got limited time and I want to get on and watch The Traitors US, please.
Yeah, that's on BBC iPlayer now. Is
There's
anyone
been
else
a
watching the
murder.
Traitors US on
Murder.
BBC iPlayer? Don't tell us how it ends, but it's another good series.
Oh, it's very good, the gameplay.
Alan Cummins is great.
I know, I love him. I've loved him since Goldeneye.
Anyway, we digress.
Right, so he looks proper suspicious and we find out why. Because he goes to Paul's flat while Gemma's there, buzzes in. So sorry to intrude, I don't know how to say this, sounds mad. I'm your brother! Dun dun dun. So he sits them down and he tells them everything. And he's just dropping Bernie right in it, isn't he? Saying she abandoned him as a child, they were the chosen ones, etc. Tugging on all the heartstrings, making them feel bad.
And it does tie in with everything that we've seen from him and Bernie before. Right from the very first time she met him, he didn't want to even reveal that he was adopted, when he was at his house with the little elephant or whatever it was.
Kind of makes me think, with him, he is kind of lashing out because he wants to protect himself. Like, you think you're my mum? Well, you're not. You're not my mum. You can't replace her. And so to make sure you never try, I'm going to try to make you hate me. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's trying to reject her like she rejected him.
Yeah, and I think to anybody, if you were this thing about the meeting 10 years ago,
that's awful.
That would stick with you, and you'd just be letting that seethe and boil away inside of you. That this woman who gave me away once then stood me up.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic, and I'm really surprised that Corrie hasn't been tempted to do the old fake out of, oh, I couldn't go because something tragic happened, and I hope that
where?
I couldn't go to meet you.
Oh,
Benny basically got drunk and she couldn't go. And I'm hoping they're not gonna add something later that turns out that it's a very good reason why Bernie didn't go.
No, I don't think they will.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, sometimes people suck, and good people can do really sucky things, and I don't think Bernie's a particularly good person, actually. I think she's really likeable, she's very loyal, and she's good to her family, but, you know, she's also...
She has become more likeable and a better person in the last few years as
very
well,
quickly.
compared to how she came in. And I know she was in prison early on this year, but I think she has become more sympathetic recently. And so what she did to Kit apparently 10 years ago was very much in line with what we saw from her when she first came into it 4 or 5 years ago.
Wasn't the concept introduced with Gemma and Paul in the park being stood up?
Which hasn't been brought up yet.
No.
But yeah, she's a bit of a stander-upper, is Bernie. Bit of a flake.
I do get it. I mean, I know people that are like this, and it is for mental health reasons that they do it to kind of like protect themselves from things, but it doesn't make life easier for anybody else at all.
No.
And it doesn't help. Right.
No.
So.
And I was thinking something else then. No, it's gone out of my head. Go on, you carry on.
Oh, thanks. So, over in the pub, Dev's trying to get Bernie to have courage to go to this meeting later on, because they're still waiting for Kit to turn up. But he's there pouring poison in Gemma and Paul's ears, how useless she was about this meeting when he was 21, she didn't turn up. He says that, and then he starts lying, which was a bit of a step beyond, I think. He says, Bernie didn't want me to meet you.
Oh, yes.
I had to beg him. To beg her, sorry. And then he's grinning because they're totally taken in by this. They're believing every single thing he's saying. And Bernie's still waiting. She thinks he's bottled it. And so she's going to go and tell the twins about, you know, the abandonment and the child herself.
I wonder whether he would have done this if it wasn't for the fact that his mum died, and he kind of blames her for, or blames the family for not being around with his mum on her last day.
It's really interesting that we never got to meet the parents. I don't know if we're going to get to meet Kit's dad, but what a temptation it was to have had them in it, really. Maybe they thought it was too similar to Joel's parents, but then when has that ever stopped them from doing the same story twice simultaneously? So Dev's like, all right, I'll stay here. You go tell your kids about their secret brother. You know, we've all been there. So she gets to the flat, and Kit's there already. She's shocked. She says, oh, this isn't right. This wasn't meant to be like this. She knows that he's double-crossed her. And he's like, yes, that's right. I'm your brother. And Gemma and Paul are devastated. They can barely talk to her or look her in the eye.
Do you think he actually wants to be their brother, or does he just want to make life hell for Bernie? Yeah. Has he got any interest? Once Bernie's soul has been destroyed by this, is he going to have any interest in sticking around for Paul and Gemma? I think he's shown a bit of sympathy towards Paul and his condition. I mean, Gemma... I don't think Gemma is the sort of person that he'd usually want to hang around with. I think he can probably see, especially from that quad scene last week, that there is some good in her heart, and she's struggling and he feels sorry for her. But it does feel a bit like they're being manipulated, and he's using them. He's gonna drop them when his mission is complete.
Well, Paul's really upset because he points out that he doesn't have long left, and now he hasn't got any time to get to know his brother. And Gemma's like, what? Why didn't you tell me? I remember that name, Christopher Green. It was in those letters. You could have told me when I found them. And why did you stand him up 10 years ago? We could have had 10 years with our brother, and you've taken that from us. And Kit's like, oh, maybe Bernie wants me to replace Paul when he dies. And that is like, Bernie does not like this. She yells at him, shut up. And then she throws something at him.
I think...
She throws a remote control.
The remote, yeah. I think the fact that he said that must show that he doesn't care for Paul.
No.
Really.
And he's thought this through. He's sat down and thought of a bunch of zingers.
Yeah. And the fact that he's happy to just get that one out in front of Paul, like saying, yeah, you're going to die soon, but I'm going to use that to really
make you
cut deep
bad.
into your mum.
And try and make her feel bad too. So, after the break, Gemma's chucked Bernie out. And they're all talking. And Kit's like, oh, Bernie's just having a bad day. You can't be bad. You can't be mad at her. And maybe I'm going to go and talk to her, try and sort these things out. And they're like, wow, you're so nice and reasonable.
So kind.
Aren't you lovely and great? You're just a good person. So, Toolkit finds Bernie in the community garden and he's rubbing it in like, ha ha ha. Now you know how I felt 10 years ago when you stood me up. You're scum. Bye. Bernie tries to go into number 5, but Gemma won't let her in because she's so mad. On Wednesday...
Did you buy how easily Gemma and Paul were convinced?
I thought that was
Kit's
quite
little ruse
convenient.
Here.
I did think that was quite convenient.
Because they've been a super close family, haven't they? Because when you ain't got very much, family is very important to you. And the fact that it just took a little conversation, I don't know how long we're supposed to believe that Kit was there dripping his poison in, but yeah, they maybe went from, wow, we're all one happy family together, to we don't want to talk to you, maybe a little quickly, but then it was a big revelation. It's sometimes difficult to put real world logic on a soap.
Yeah, I know. I wonder whether it would have made more sense if Kit had tried to play on their insecurities a bit more and said, I know he said, oh, I'm lining up for a replacement. I'm going to be the replacement son when you die. I think it would have been more hurtful if he'd said something like, oh, Bernie, I bet if you'd had the chance, you wouldn't have picked Paul, would you? Because he's too much of a hassle. Bet you would have preferred me, Kit, because I'm a policeman and I do well for myself. Bet you fed up with these kids. I bet you wish that because they're a bit trickier, aren't they? A bit more high maintenance than he is, or seems to be. I don't know. And also, that would have sown a bit of paranoia in them. To imagine, like, why did we get picked? Why did she choose us? If she could do it again, I bet she wouldn't pick us.
Yeah, I bet.
Anyway, on Wednesday, Bernie's like, I wish I'd never spoken to this Kit. And Dev's like, well, the kids will come around, give them time and space, and the final frontier. Craig and Beth come into the shop, and Craig's going on about Kit and how he wants to be in CID and all that.
Oh yeah, Craig's got a little bit of a man crush on Kit, doesn't he? He's his hero. He's in CID.
Well, yeah, he's bigging him up, and obviously Beth is hanging on his every word.
Yeah, Beth she's a bit funny on Wednesday's episode, isn't she? She's a little bit fawny over Kit. Paul
and Gemma are talking to each other about how great everyone thinks Kit's great, which is soap shorthand for this is the worst person in the show. That's not what normally happens. And nobody can see it apart from one person.
Yeah.
This is like Pat Phelan and Anna Windass all over again, where only one person's going, this guy's a criminal.
I suppose the difference there was everybody knew who Pat Phelan was, and if you were to do a straw poll on most of the characters on Coronation Street, I don't think many of them would even know who Kit is, because nobody talks to anyone that's not in their story at the moment.
No, not really. So she's like, I can't believe Bernie gave him away as a baby, and Billy's there with Paul and Gemma trying to calm things down. Why don't you talk to her, find her, get her perspective. There must have been a reason. And they're like, nope, don't think so. Then Beth sees Kit in the street and she's falling over him and she's talking about Craig, can you put in a good word and get him transferred? And he's like, no, it doesn't really work.
To CID, that is.
Yeah.
Onto a different station or anything.
Different.
Can you send him to somewhere else so he's not just arresting his neighbours all the time? It's very embarrassing.
No, Beth loves it. She's not finding it embarrassing.
That's true. Yeah.
She's like,
she likes the
all
drama.
The dirt. Gemma pops it out of the cafe, and this is when Beth finds out that Kit and Gemma are related. She goes, no way! I thought that line was a bit weird. Anyway, Beth goes into the cafe and tries to get details off Bernie, and Bernie's like, yep, that's my son. Getting to know him, great.
I'm just thinking, keep your neb out, but Beth.
But I know, I like her. She's the reincarnation of Norris.
She wishes.
Better hair. Beth says, well, I hope you have a nice family get together with them later, because she didn't know that this was happening.
Beth didn't know that there was going to be one, did she?
No. Bernie didn't know. Beth did.
Did she? Oh, I can't remember.
Well, I don't know, but Kit, Billy and the twins are in the booth, and they're not expecting Bernie to turn it up, right?
Oh, yeah. No, but then I don't remember what happened here. Like, did they invite Bernie, or did Bernie invite herself and they just let her sit down?
I think Beth dropped it that was happening.
Yeah, she did.
So she wasn't invited, and she just invited herself.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
She's there and it's awkward.
Yes.
Billy's there, twins are there, Kit's there. Bernie comes in. Dev orders some drinks because he's there too. And Bernie's trying to explain to everybody why she abandoned Kit. And she said she just couldn't cope. Gemma's not buying this because she's like, excuse me, who's the one who's got 5 kids? You think 3 kids was difficult? It was just one more kid. I've got 5 kids. And Bernie's trying to explain herself, saying, look, nobody was helping me. And I do think Gemma's being a bit snotty here because she's got so much more help than she realises. She's got a husband. She's got a husband. Yeah. She's got
orange wedding dress.
She's got a mum. She's got a brother. I know that Paul can't really babysit or anything, but he's a moral support.
Yeah, I don't think that Freshco was flinging money at Bernie back in the early 90s,
no, exactly.
was it?
Paul's just got his eyes closed and is kind of take everything in.
Well, his like... Is this what my last...
Yeah.
It's that. Is this how I'm going to go out with my family at each other's throats?
And thinking of what could have been.
Yeah.
Already he's thinking about, I'm going to miss out on... This is the thing, right? He's thinking about the future and what he's missed out on. But until now, he's not thought he's missed out on anything in the past. And now his past and his future...
that's deep.
Screwed up.
But it does make me, again, think, would he really be this... Would he hold a grudge so much against Beth when he knows that... Not Beth, Bernie. Bernie, sorry.
We all hate Beth, but...
There's weeks, I don't know, left. I just think that Paul wouldn't cut her out of his life quite so, callously, like you said, when he doesn't want to end his life, which could, be happening whenever, with Bernie not part of it.
Look... You don't know what it's like to have your secret half brother appear out of nowhere.
Not yet.
After 20 whatever years.
You never know who could be knocking at this door.
I hope that they are a policeman. No, who do I? Some kind of lawyer or something.
Or just a secret millionaire brother would be nice.
Yeah, who's like, oh, I'm ill and I sort you out because I'm going to die and I want to pass my fortune on to you. I just need somebody to pass a fortune to. And there's a catch. Because I'm ill and I've got so much money, I have to ask you for a big favour. Please, can you move to France and look after my enormous castle and my beautiful chihuahua called
I wasn't expecting this to go down this route.
But he's very particular and he likes to be petted all the time. Could you possibly imagine yourself moving to France and to live in a mansion with millions of pounds to look after a dog? I'd be like, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
If it's a cat, I'm on board.
You can buy a cat. I'll look after the dog. I'll be like...
You can have the dog in the dog wing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Le wing de chien.
Oh, well.
What's that in French?
Oh, well. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, so don't worry about it.
You can fantasise about secret millionaire siblings as much as you want, but...
It could be a secret millionaire listener.
Yes, it
could be.
Could be.
Hope you're all healthy, but if you're not, let us know. Right, so Bernie's trying to explain. Nobody's listening. And Paul's upset. Dev's like, this isn't going anywhere. Let's leave. Bernie can't believe this. Couldn't have gone anywhere, she says. And Dev's like, look, go home. And he catches Craig in the street and says, watch your back around Kit. He can be a bit ruthless. Be on your guard. And Craig's like, how weird is that? I don't understand why he said that. He doesn't take him seriously at all. Mind you, he did look a bit cagey when he said it, and he didn't really explain himself. And then Beth comes over and guess what? Kit is the secret half-brother of Gemma and Paul, but he's not a secret millionaire, so it's not as exciting as it could be. So they're back at the Rovers later. Cassie's there.
Oh no.
That's wrong.
That's the wrong note.
Craig
Put
tries
that in
to
the wrong
talk
story.
about
Apologies.
Kit, and he's trying to talk about the family, and he brings up the fact that Kit may have gotten Gemma off of this possible shoplifting charge.
Yes.
He's canny here. He knows what's going on.
This is very un-Craig-like behaviour here.
This was very, very savvy of him. But did he play his hand too quickly?
Yeah.
Has he exposed himself here to a predator? Because Kit is not going to be blackmailed. I think
he's not going to be intimidated by Craig whatsoever. He can
Craig
control him and manipulate. I think Rowan would find Kit quite a good hire, actually.
I know.
After what we've seen this week.
Yeah. I'm thinking that Craig is trying to get Kit to get him into CID again.
Yeah.
And he's trying to angle with this information that he's got that Kit might have not been on the up and up.
But we all know that Craig's not really the best in CID, is he?
I don't think that Swain's going to be persuaded.
Yeah, she's not for swaying.
Swain's
not for swaying. I thought Craig was so funny there, trying to be cool, like going, just riffing. Like he's never been able to be cool in front of her.
Don't try.
No, but
it's
anyway.
cooler if you're not cool, actually. But I say that somebody's not cool. On Friday, what?
Nothing.
Go on.
No, I wasn't going to have anything.
On Friday, Paul and Gemma broke last week, shoplifting. This week, buying flowers for dead woman. Why? Why write that in? I haven't checked Twitter, but I can't imagine. Well, everyone's been distracted by something else, haven't they? But if there was no other story this week, if this was the A story, people would be up in arms about
How
this.
can they afford a bouquet of flowers from Preston's?
How can you be 1 week stealing shoes for your child because you can't afford £45 and the next week buying flowers for a funeral? Because that is really expensive. It would have made more sense if they'd been picking flowers from a garden. Don't take the yellow roses. Right, so Bernie comes along. She's like, oh, let me give you some money. Where were you last week? Well, you did give me some money,
She
Mum,
did,
but
yeah, she was just about to be fair.
They won't let her. Dev's giving Benny a pep talk later, and she's like, he says, forget the mind games, it will sort itself out. Why don't you send your own flowers to this funeral?
Dev's point in this, I'm finding him fairly useless, and he's
Really?
giving good advice, but he's not really adding a whole lot to the story other than just being there as a bit of emotional
Well, they're
support.
like, we need to get Jimmy Harkinson's episode count
Yeah,
up.
no, it's a bit like that. I'm not getting like many Dev classic
Also,
moments
yeah,
here.
you're right here. This could be insert bland boyfriend comment here.
Yeah.
But then it's not really the place for Dev, is it? It's not like, hey, Bernie, why don't you send some lilies? Lilies are the flower of death, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not really the place for it, is it?
I guess not.
In the pub, Paul reveals to Gemma that he cannot
my
move
God,
his left hand.
this is too
He's like,
much.
don't make a big deal about this. Please don't tell anybody.
This is too much.
Like,
Combined
I
with
can't.
everything else on Friday's episode, when Paul, he just showed his little fingers
He can't
twitch.
move. He can't move.
Yeah, because it started off with his right hand. His right hand was the first thing to go,
Yeah.
wasn't it? But at least he's had his
What is
his
he
left
gonna
for the
do?
past year. So now he's
Like, don't tell anybody. Don't make it a big deal. It's not, as long as we don't focus on it, then it's not a big deal. And this was more like him trying to convince himself to me. We know that Billy's been scared about the end and when it's going to come and when Paul's going to decide that's enough. And we know that Paul is very sure that this is what he wants. But now I feel as though he's suddenly been faced with the idea that it's not that long from now, and maybe he is scared.
It certainly made,
because of course, even if you want it, even if this is how you want to end your life, the actual reality of it is going to be scary.
It certainly made the end of the story feel a lot closer than I had thought it was going to be before.
Yes, and bloody Kit, again, I don't mind this so much. I find Kit a very interesting character. And this is kind of intriguing, but I am still kind of thinking to myself, do we really want this as well?
If we're going into the final furlong for Paul, I'd need all of the Kit drama to go away.
And you know what the other thing about it is we were talking about when Summer buggered off to Boston, we were like, oh, okay, Summer's leaving because we want to focus on Billy and Paul. Did we? Not really. And now she's back again and they've added someone else. Like, it would have been fine if Summer had gone because we didn't really need that extra character. But now we've got her and Kit.
It is feeling a bit crowded.
It's kind of like, no, we don't want that. You were writing a beautiful story. And this is Corrie's problem, apart from all the other things, is having the courage of its convictions, being able to trust the writers and the actors to take a story and keep it simple but make it poignant. You don't need to add all the extra rubbish and the layers.
I have
trust your talent to tell a story. You can only cry so much. You can only be sad so much, right? It's 10 out of 10 or what? It doesn't go up to 11. This isn't Spinal Tap. You can't add extra sadness. You don't need to. You're just wasting stories that you could use another time. We could have had Bernie find Kit 6 months from now when Paul's not here, and it would have been poignant and sad because he never got to meet his brother. Then that would have added an extra layer. Then it would have been made more sense that Gemma was mad. And then we could have had another story. We don't need 500 stories on top of each other.
I do have every confidence in Coronation Street that they will make Paul's final episodes good. Because they have shown time and time again that they can be very respectful. They did with Sinead, they have with other characters.
They can do it, Michael, but my question is, will they be allowed to? And I think that, I know Ian McLeod isn't being credited as producer, but we're
in Veritary territory.
Veritary territory. I don't know her at all from, what her influence is like. I can't judge it. I can't imagine it's a great deal away from his.
Well, it's the pillar talk in the McLeod
I'm
boudoir,
not going to
isn't it?
speculate about it, but I can't see it being very much different. So I'm sorry, but at this point I'm not putting my faith in anything.
I will put faith in the final episode, but I don't think I can stretch much further than that. And I think possibly, there's going to be lots of dilly-dallying around with extraneous extra bits like the Kit and Bernie and the fallout there, and I mean it could even be depending on how close the end is, and I genuinely have absolutely no idea. I don't even know whether Peter Ash has finished filming. I know he's had some headshots go on, which often means that they have left. I really do not know if he has gone, so this could be happening still months away, or we could be, it could be next week. I literally don't know, but it feels like it could be like one episode Bernie says, oh actually, or Paul says, oh fine, I will make up with you again, and then he's gone. And it'd be a shame if they were at each other's throats up until the very last minute, and then
But from a perspective of when is Paul gonna leave, I think they're gonna tell us in advance.
Well, the show.
I think
like they did with Aidan.
Out of respect, I think it's not a shock, is it? It's not. No one's going to be like, what? He was ill? I didn't know. So don't make it a surprise. Let people know respectfully. I think the thing is, because he's going to plan it, if that is indeed how he dies, which I don't know, we are going to know.
I don't know how much warning we got for, like, Hayley, for example. I think what I remember there is that was when the not the Arsehole Awards were in January, and we always got some big thing for the NTAs like third week of January for years. So people kind of were putting two and two together and said it's probably going to be then. Now there aren't any. Corrie still definitely does stick to big weeks, but there's not one coming until September or October time, and it just doesn't feel like he's going to hold out for that long, does it?
I don't see how he can.
So I think they'll want to publicise it, so we probably will know. But
I don't want
as
it to
of
be
now,
a shock because I
have
think
got
that would be
no
cheap.
idea.
I think that would be cheap and disrespectful. Okay.
Anyway.
And now I've said what I think, and if they go that way, then I'll revise my opinion if I think they did it in a way that wasn't so. But that's my thoughts on it at the moment. I'm not feeling particularly benign towards Coronation Street today for some reason. Right, so yeah, don't make a big deal about it. I don't want everyone to know, says Paul about his hand. Kit comes into the pub. He's had the funeral. He thanks the twins for the flowers. I've never referred to them as twins so much since this story started.
Yeah, well, the Kit's calling them that, isn't he?
They don't look very much alike. I think he's being rude when he calls them the twins. Right, so he says thank you for the flowers, and Bernie's like, oh no, Dev says, oh, did you get any other flowers? And he's like, yeah, I did. And Bernie says, yeah, I wanted to let you know how sorry I was. But Kit's like, no, it wasn't about you, it was about my real mum, my actual mum, the mum that raised me. And Dev takes Bernie out, and he says, Kit, I'm not going to let you turn her kids against her.
Do you think that Kit had a point there? Like, was Bernie out of order
this is his projection. This is his whole big deal, isn't it? And I'm interested because there was a moment when Kit talked about his parents. Oh, my wonderful parents. I wonder if his parents were actually not that great. If he had some kind of issue with them, or, you know, I wonder also, were they distant from each other? Is he looking at this family going, I could have had the closeness I crave? Is he an only child as an adoptee? Has he got any other brothers and sisters, or is he the only one? Is he thinking, I always wish I had brothers and sisters, and look at this woman, she's taken that from me. I'll never have that. I'll never grow up with them. You're not my real mum.
Yeah.
Don't try. And I
think there was some genuine, just leave me the hell alone with the flowers. But Kit saying, why did you send me the flowers? I've told you I'm not interested in making up with you right now. I'm really, really mad at you. And you think that by sending flowers to my mum's funeral, it's going to make it all better.
The problem is that Bernie did send the flowers to try to get on his good side.
Yeah.
What it should have been was her saying thank you to the woman who looked after my child. You know, I can never thank you enough for raising him. And this is a small way of paying tribute to all of the sacrifices and the hard times you've had, you know, because raising a child is no easy job. And I couldn't do it. So thank you for all of your sacrifices. But she didn't, though. She sent it to Kit, really, to say, sorry, your mum's dead. But don't worry.
It wasn't a massive show of, look, I am okay, really, but I can understand why Kit would...
No, because he's not about you. Yeah, he's right.
He's looking for things to hate about her.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and he's finding plenty.
It was a bit of an own goal here from Bernie, maybe. Well, but I thought it was Dev's idea, wasn't it?
I know. It just feel like a bit like you don't need to maybe send some condolence. I mean, I think maybe the next step of the story is her seeking out the father.
Yeah,
Bernie,
possibly.
Saying, you know, sorry.
Putting a good word for me.
Sorry about your wife and everything, but Kit's a nightmare. Is he like this to you?
So
What's his favourite dinner? Can I make him fish and chips or something?
Did you enjoy this story this week?
I'm
kind of meh about it as well, only because I don't necessarily buy that Paul and Gemma would be so easily taken in, and we do like a villain, and seeing Kit go a bit evil is usually the sort of thing that makes it go, haha, yeah, he really is nasty. But I feel like I've been hoodwinked a little bit because I felt that I had been led to believe that he's a nice chap after all, and it feels like there's no going back for him now. But there could be, and I still think that maybe a relationship with Sarah Louise isn't off the cards at some point in the future too. I think that Michael hurt people. You know. Oh, yeah. Hurt people. So, can you forgive? They can redeem anyone they fancy, can't they? As long as he's not killed anybody.
Yeah, literally, that's the only barrier.
Anyone's redeemable on Coronation Street. Just before we move on to the next story, I wanted to...
It's kind of nice. You should put that on a mug.
Yeah, do it.
Almost anybody.
I just wanted to shout out a few little background details that I enjoyed, and I don't know whether you spotted these, because we watched these different. There was one little bit where Dev was, I think it was in the Rovers, and he was trying to pay for something with his card. Did you see this?
No.
Or was it in the cafe? And he was trying to use contactless with it, and it didn't work. And he was like huffing and puffing, and then having to stick the card in the machine.
Okay, right.
That really reminded me of what Mark Llewellyn was talking to me about the other week when Alec, when Roy Barraclough had just these little background things in the Rovers, like trying to fix Jack's watch. Just like there's a little story going on in the back to save, and it felt like it was that. It was fun, and I also enjoyed Jenny. Hooray, Jenny was in an episode. Blink and you'll miss it. But it was, her trying to get the goss on what was going on, and the Tommy Orpington
with Tommy.
That was fun, and she just like miffed when she was like rebuffed from both stories. It almost felt like, can I be in any story? Nope.
Right.
This story's got a full complement of characters, Jenny. 5. No room for any more.
That thing about the contactless not working. Do you reckon that was like a 2 fingers up because they got paid for the contactless stuff? I know it was a product placement, and they were paid to like demonstrate the wonders of using your card. And I wonder if the money stopped and they're like, yeah, it sucks. Doesn't actually work all the time. It's rubbish.
Problem is, it is pretty handy, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember the first time we saw that was in France.
No.
Was it not?
No.
Oh, no, that was...
Chip and Pin
was
we
France.
used in France first, because it was in France before it was here.
Yeah.
And this was amazing.
Like, what the hell is this amazing
This was when I was,
ability?
20, 21, and I was living in France. And whenever we had to... the younger listeners here might not even believe us, but when you wanted to pay for something by card, you had to give them the card.
Yeah.
They'd like, trace over it with a little machine.
Yeah, they could...
And then they'd give you a little bit of paper. You had to then sign the bit of paper. They'd compare the signature on the back of your card to this.
Or they'd put it in and they'd print you out something and you'd sign it.
That's right. Yeah, but yeah, going to France and finding this chip and pin, it was like a revelation. And
I remember,
it's only got better since then with the contactless, and now you can pay with your phone.
I remember the first time I ever used my chip and pin was in the Cherbourg branch of McDonald's.
Was it?
I was like, oh my god, France is living in the future.
Yeah,
we're just catching up.
Yeah. Anyway. Busted.
And we didn't get paid to say
Steve
that.
and Tim storyline. We didn't. So this was the lighter storyline of the week. It's Steve's birthday. Birthdays were all over the place this week because Steve's birthday is actually, I think, the 26th of June, 25th of June, I can't remember, but it was last week. Leanne had her birthday this week she should have had her birthday, but she didn't. Now I don't know where Leanne's birthday was supposed to fall here, but did she get was it wasn't even mentioned. It was like it never happened.
Do you get an automatic level up
when it's your birthday? Well, I was kind of expecting if Steve's birthday was a day late, an episode late, I was expecting Leanne's birthday to come on Wednesday, but it didn't. So let's just forget about that. Busted storyline. Yes, I can deal with it that Leanne didn't have a birthday, and the only reason I know it's her birthday is because it's the same day as mine. So, he's got his present. I loved it when what was it that Amy got him? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
But I just remember the line that she says when he's like, "Oh, how did you know what to get me? You always get me the best presents." And she's just like, "I just think about what I'd get for a 14-year-old boy."
Yeah, I remember that line.
That was great, and Ellie delivered it so well. Anyway, birthday present time for Steve. He still thinks that this surprise party is imminent, so he heads upstairs, and the rest put their heads together and kind of like, look, he's expecting us to have a party here. We better do something, hadn't we? So Ken's like, okay, we'll sort something. Cassie's very excited about this. So later on, and the party guests that they've been able to cobble together from whoever's walking down the street have arrived, and they've only...
What a great team!
Yeah, Ken and Brian. No, sorry, Rita and Brian are the only 2 people that they've been able to find. And Rita gets a once a month, if you're lucky, appearance at Steve's birthday party. Not really the kind of guest that he's hoping for. So Steve comes down the stairs all excited until he realises that this
singing Happy Birthday.
She did. Rita, I think Barbara Knox chart. If ITV is having these money problems and cutbacks, I think can't afford Barbara Knox to even a single note anymore. No. So
it's absolutely tragic.
Steve is pretty knocked off by this. Tim couldn't even come. And this is when he finds out that Tim is at the bust unveiling with Sally, because Sally's posted this picture of her on SenPX or whatever, of her being all dolled up to the nine. This doesn't really make sense, because later on, Steve and Cassie go to the room in the hotel with the bust unveiling, which I thought was where the picture was taken.
I was like, why are they there? Why are they uploading this? How have they... Don't think about
anyway, Steve's peed off that Tim his best mate has abandoned him. He's chosen Tommy Orpington over him, and he's going to go down there and sort it out. And Cassie's like, brilliant, this sounds like a caper to me, let's go, I'll drive. So they get to this place. So the Charity Square is... Chariot Square, that's it, is different this week, isn't it?
Yes.
They've had a bit of a refurb.
I'm going to say...
Ed's been busy.
I think it felt a bit like... I just was a bit mean there about Verity, and I'm sorry, I'm just in a grumpy mood and maybe had too many ciders, because I had a request on Twitter to drink more ciders when I'm recording.
You did.
Maybe that's a bad idea and I shouldn't take advice. But anyway, I'm wondering if we're seeing a bit of influence here, because we had the changing of the set of the Chariot Square, and it actually looks like a proper hotel. It
looks better. But maybe it's just because it's new.
Really, I
can't figure it out.
And cool and really big. Like the fact this function room that we've been seeing this whole time, this Chariot Square function room, which has got the bar in the corner and a
couple of tables set out there, and
the metal lily pads on the wall or whatever they are. That room is like the worst room in the whole hotel, because this like reception area with a tree in it. It's really cool.
It looks swankier. I think it might just be a little bit of it's new, so it's exciting.
Yeah,
but
I think they have. Right.
I think they have done a bit of a better job. I'm sure it won't be long until we're sick of this room as well. This should have seen it coming, really, because when we were at the set, when I was at the set a couple of months ago, it was clear that some kind of refurbishment was going on. Because we weren't allowed into the police station. And it looked like maybe something was going on upstairs, so I guess this was it. So what you've got now is it's like coming up the stairs into the reception area, but it looks like there are some tables around that they'll be able to use. And there's a bar as well, so it just feels a little bit more multi-purpose, and it's probably for a good thing, because we've been up and we've been explored around the old set, and it felt like there was a fair bit of wasted space there, wasn't there?
Yeah. And the other thing, what was I thinking? Something else. Oh, the fact that they're using the cafe space in the Coronation Street experience as the Institute cafe, that's added a bit of extra space. They're using stairwells that they never used before. Using outdoor areas that are a bit different. I think they're branching out a bit, and I think that is just partially new, fresh eyes.
Maybe.
Do you not think?
Yeah, it could be. I'm with what you said about.
I just want to say, more people in the Rovers, it feels like, and more people in the cafe. That's how it feels. It feels like there are more extras and things. And
gradually, it's not back to the heyday of pre-COVID, but
plenty.
It's been worse. Yeah, what you said about the Institute was interesting to me, because I'm still not convinced whether this cafe that they go to is part of the Institute building, because I don't know whether they've got one, because all the stuff with Leanne's malware upload session or whatever, that was in Chariot Square as well. It's almost like, we saw with the County Line story a couple of years ago, where all the druggies were doing their cuckooing in Leanne's flat. It feels like the Institute are cuckooing in Chariot Square now, doesn't it? Any event that needs to go on, Chariot Square is the place. Debbie's coining it in, clearly.
She don't care. What they do need, which I think they did a bit more of in the old days, is some kind of establishing shot. It doesn't have to be anywhere near. It just needs to be a building. That's like, this is the Institute. I tell you what would be really cool, but it wouldn't work because it's too iconic. But don't you think the outside of the Imperial War Museum looks a bit scary? Like the sort of place an evil cult would base their headquarters?
Definitely. I just can't believe that they've got a headquarters. That's the only thing.
I know,
otherwise, everything that's going on wouldn't happen at the Chariot Square. I mean, they got all these people from apparently all these Institute branches across the country to come to Weatherfield for Leanne's special ceremony today. But it does, you're right, that small potatoes is right. But where's Willow based? I don't know. Anyway, we digressed a little bit there. So I did enjoy how they tarted up the room for the Tommy Orpington unveiling with various bits of Orpington paraphernalia around.
I know. They did
like
a good
the big
job.
cardboard cutout of him.
I'm much more convinced Tommy Orpington was a footballer than I am that James ever was.
Yes, absolutely. So they get there, Steve and Cassie do, and they get to the room with the bust. They take the cover off, and there it is. How did you find the bust? Bit cheap looking, maybe? Not really looking anything like Tommy Orpington?
I thought it was good because it was comically plausible enough looking like him to not be like, what was anyone, no one would ever think that looked like him at all. But it looked off enough to go, that's silly.
It really looked off. It reminded me of like a spray painted version of the head from the old Art Attack, and there may be about 5 people that are listening that will get that reference.
Maybe that's what it was. It did look familiar.
Hello, it's me, the head.
Wasn't there a thing about Ronaldo? Didn't he have a bust?
Don't ask me about football
and it was
trivia.
Comical, and everyone. I think was it a tribute to that?
I don't know, but if you were to have shown me this bust completely out of context and say, which Coronation Street character is this then? I don't think I'd have guessed Tommy Orpington. But for the comedy value, it served its purpose. So they found this bust. Oh, what are they going to do now? So later on, the room's all full of schmoozers there, ready for the ceremony. Cassie and Steve are nowhere to be seen. Sally is loving.
Yes, it is.
Rubbing
it's a
shoulders
tribute
with the
to
poshos.
that. Look, this is his bust.
Oh, Gemma's just showing me.
Ronaldo.
This makes sense now. So
Yeah,
there was a
it's
terrible
bronze
bust of Ronaldo.
bust. Yeah.
This is 100% a tribute to that. When did this happen?
Oh, a while ago.
Oh, okay. Well, how was I supposed to know that?
2018.
Oh, fine. Must be. Anyway, so Sally's rubbing shoulders with all the poshos there. She's met a new friend called, what was it, Angela?
Angela.
And
She's
then...
like, I've got nothing to do since I'm no longer Chancellor of Germany.
There were some funny bits in there. She's talking about when's she gonna get a statue and an MBE.
I think she should at least have a memorial fountain that we can protest.
What's Sally Dinover is MBE, isn't she? She got that a few years ago. She's not OBE.
I don't know which one's the best one.
I can't
I'd rather have an MBE because OBE sounds like a...
OBE1 Kenobi.
It also sounds like a wind instrument.
It is one letter away from an oboe, you're right. And that would blow.
I also don't like the letter O, which is funny because it's part of my surname and there's only 3 letters.
Okay, that's a funny thing to say.
I don't like Oxford, I prefer Cambridge, and I think it comes from that.
Okay.
And that's a fact about me.
Yeah, weird. Little bit of an odd thing to say. So Tommy Orpington's welcomed onto the stage. I did not expect to see Tommy Orpington again. I thought that Tracy not coming back was an excuse to not have Matt Milburn come back as Tommy Orpington. So that was quite a nice surprise.
I thought he'd be
Didn't
back.
have a lot to do, particularly on this episode. But yeah, he comes in, he gets the crowd going.
He does a lot of faces that Chesney would be proud of.
Yeah.
Like...
He does a bit of that, doesn't he? And he takes the flag off of the bust, but what's there? It's a football with a face drawn on it.
That was great. I thought that was hilarious. And they were like, oh, well, it's avant-garde.
That was... Oh, yes, that's right. Sally was saying that. I forgot about that. Yes, she was. Yeah, she was. She thought she was trying to fit in and go, well, of course I understand the deep significance of this modern art.
I've heard of her.
It is that. Anyway, so meanwhile, Cassie and Steve are sneaking out the back entrance with the bust and they gun it away in the car. I think that was them sneaking around by Seb's kicking wall around by there. So
I don't think that's what it
that's
really
what I
should be
refer to
called
it as.
as.
So they arrive back to the street and this is when they see Ryan and Brian and Rita shuffling out of number 1.
Ryan and Brita.
Ryan and Brita, yeah.
Beautiful
Ryan
couple.
Connor and they're shuffling out of number 1. Clearly, the party is over. I think this is when they had the line about the Glenn Close party, wasn't it? Do you remember? And then they're saying it turned out it was just a party in Glenn Close.
Yeah.
I thought that was an okay line.
I think Steve's really ungrateful.
Why?
I don't think...
Oh, well, yeah.
If my actual friends, of which I have 5, didn't turn up to my birthday party, I couldn't persuade anyone else to come. Could I? Nobody else would come for me. So he should be grateful that two people are willing to take time. And also, those two, when they got there, they're like, oh my God, we're the only ones here. This is really awkward. I don't even like him.
I think that a lot of your listeners would want to come and celebrate your birth. Just to get a look at what you look like, for one thing.
I know, but I've got one of those.
Woman of
I've got
mystery,
I'm like a Bigfoot in that I kind of am blurry and you can only see me out the corner of your eye. But I am real.
Cheers. Yeah.
Just like Bigfoot.
Yeah. Right, so anyway, we're digressing again. Basically, what they end up doing with this bust is revealed later on in the episode, where Tim takes Sally up to bed, pulls back the duvet, and there is the bust in the middle of the bed.
Like the horse
bit
head.
of a Godfather moment there. Hilarious. And did they really put together this whole set of Sally and Tim's bedroom just so they could have this 5-second scene? Sally and Tim are saying, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do about this bust? I don't know.
bust.
Tim takes it to number one, and he knows that Steve's done this. He's like, why is there a bust of Tommy Orpington on my bed?
Oh
You've
yeah,
put it in
I
there.
missed that scene, didn't I?
Yes. And then he's like,
They
well,
make up.
why did you leave me on my birthday to go hang out with Tommy Orpington?
Yes. So they're saying, what are we going to do with this bust? That's the end of the episode.
What can I do? I'm just a man, a simple, innocent man who loves football.
I very much enjoyed Steve and Cassie's pair up in this episode. I thought that they had a certain spark, and they're clearly leading up to some kind of romantic entanglement, which will probably blossom into something just as Kate Ford decides to step back into the role of Tracy and turn up on the street. But I thought, they had really good energy, and I'm glad that Steve and Tim made up by the end of Monday's episode with that little predicament, and it led to some fun stuff on Wednesday, which was basically...
Here's my question. Do you think... I know you're fed up with me.
So fed up with you
I'll go out
interrupting me.
then.
No. Go on.
Right. Do you reckon that this is like a canny trick by Corrie to go, there's going to be loads of football men watching because their wives are in the room and they've just finished watching the football match. Why don't we entice them in with a football story?
It is funny that there's a football story going on in Coronation Street at the moment, and none of the characters have mentioned the Euros.
I know, it's a bit weird, isn't it? It's almost like it's...
Well, they would have known it was happening.
Can you really believe that two guys who are so super into football that they worship a local football player to the extent that they, have his face on a tea towel, wouldn't watch the Euros?
They're only interested in local football, aren't they?
Local football for local people.
So anyway, this bust napping appears on the front of the papers, and Tim's like, "Look, we gotta do something about this. We need to get it back." Steve doesn't want to fess up because he might get into trouble about it, and Tim says, "How do you feel about role play?" There was also the great scene earlier on in the episode, which I just skipped over, where Cassie's trying to make them see that because she's saying, "Look, just chuck it in the canal or smash it. Go on." She hands him the hammer, doesn't she? And she's like, "You can't smash up Tommy Orpington because despite everything that he's done to you, Steve, you still love him." Thought that was quite funny. So the role play involves them dressing up as delivery men, turning up to the entrance lobby of the Chariot Square, and the plan is flawless. They're just going to leave the box on the floor. So it's not that kind of flawless. And they're caught.
Oh my God.
They're caught by a security guard who says, "Well, look, thanks for the delivery, but you need to say where this has come from." And they kind of flounder about a little bit before Debbie comes up. Hooray, the story's got even better now. And they say, "Well, Streetcars is running a delivery bit on the side." And she realises that
she's like, no way. They're over
I thought
their heads here.
I thought that at first she said, "Oh, that's quite entrepreneurial of you." But anyway, Steve thinks that she's maybe smelling a rat, so he picks up the box again, and the head falls out of the bottom because he's not got the bottom of the box secure.
Tim's like, "Oh yeah."
We found it outside by the teenage wasteland, and Debbie's like, Steve. She says, "Look, you stay here. Get your stories straight. You clearly robbed it." And then she phones at the football club because she is professional at the end of the day, and she wants to make sure that this bust, which went missing from her property just last episode, is returned to its rightful owners. So the football manager turns up, along with Tommy Orpington, for some reason.
The football manager, can I just say, bless whoever it is, the actor who played it, was absolutely delighted to be in that scene.
He loved being... Well, who wouldn't be? A scene with Debbie Webster.
To be so near Tommy Orpington in the flesh.
Well, yeah. I interviewed him once, I'm just saying.
I know, but you didn't touch
He
him.
knows who I am. Anyway, Debbie goes along with Steve and Tim's story just for lols, and Tommy is clearly suspicious by this.
She's covering for them.
Yeah.
She gave him crap, didn't she? She's giving him a hard time, and she was trying to...
Brilliant.
She knew exactly what had happened, and she was making him brick it a little bit by making out that she had passed his information on, but actually she was happy to keep
she's
their
just
secrets.
be thrilled to be in this story.
But can I just
She's
say...
got no morals.
Something that you haven't noticed about this story, and I think is super important...
Yes.
That I think it was a good idea that Tracy wasn't here.
Why?
Because we know what she does when she gets around a statue. And that was a
yeah.
really big one.
Yeah, she could have done some damage with that statue, couldn't she, on Steve's head?
Everybody in that room with that statue. She uses a very small mother and child statue to kill one man. What damage could she have done with an over life-size...
Solid gold, clearly.
Yeah.
Not just a bit of papier-mâché that was spray-painted.
She could have battered 3 football fans to death within a second with that thing. So it's a good job she's still in Spain.
It is a good job, but I'm sure she'll be back any moment now. I'm sure she'll be winging
she'd
away
be
back.
itching. Her fingers probably twitching right now.
I was just a bit sad that this story didn't appear on Friday's episode, because it could have done with a bit of levity, but surely, it ends with Tommy being suspicious, so it's not the end. But yeah, this is the bit where the scene ended and Steve and Tim were just cracking up over the word bust after everything that had happened. Just like, bust. Which I thought they'd have thought of that before, considering that's all Steve's been talking about for the past 2 weeks. Right, Roy's story. Back over to you.
So Wednesday we see Roy. He makes a surprise appearance in the cafe, and Yasmin's there. She gives him a gift, which is a tin that Kathy's...
Tin of Bicky Wicks from Kathy.
He takes it, scurries upstairs, and leaves Nina on her own.
Yeah,
Bethany's story is also...
Oh, sorry, I've jumbled this up.
Is this supposed to be here?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So this is the Roy, and also
Bethany's...
Bethany, and also Nina, and also Shona, and also Sarah, Louise, and Gary's story, all mixed up together with Lauren as the glue
linchpin
that holds them together.
Bethany's continuing feeble-minded attempts to investigate anything at all. I think there must be times when she goes in the toilet and is surprised she forgot to flush and thinks somebody's intruded and has used the toilet without her realising.
Yeah.
She's so dense. So she's got this credit card statement through, and it's full of these online purchases she didn't make. And she's like, I can't get any information off of them because they're all like food and stuff. And Shona's there. Shona's, right, to remind you, Shona has hilariously comical soap-induced brain damage. But she's still a better investigator than Bethany is. And Bethany's motivated by trying to investigate a crime that's committed against her. And she still can't work it out. Shona's there going, why don't you phone him up? She's like, oh yeah, it's a good idea. Right, she's not getting anywhere because everyone's fobbing her off.
I didn't really get what was going on here, because Shona says she thinks that there might be an address because one of them's a click and collect. Or I was a bit zoned out.
The whole thing's a bit dumb.
A bit tenuous.
But Bethany can't work this out to save her life. And she is, she's kind of stuck. And I don't know what your notes that you've made here are, but basically, as I remember, she's saying, oh, the magazine company won't listen to me when I said it wasn't me. The police, I've told them and they don't care, so I'm going to investigate this myself. Which doesn't make any sense at all, because... all she'd have to do is tell the magazine company someone stole my card details. Also, why have you left it open when I'm not even working there? It's not my responsibility, it's your responsibility. I've told the police. The police wouldn't say, oh, not interested. They would say, not interested, but here's a crime number, because they have to do that. They give you that number, you give it to your boss, the boss would then go to the credit card company and say this was stolen, and then the finance department of your company and the credit card company would have to thrash it out between them over who owes what. It wouldn't be down to the girl that doesn't even work there anymore.
All I can say for this, yeah, but the small mercy with it is it's not taking up a whole load of screen time.
The thing is about it is that it's making Bethany look stupid, which I don't think
she doesn't need any help with.
There's obviously something going on here. I've seen people's theories that this is maybe Lauren's got her
I think
card.
we've theorised about this. I don't think she's got the card because Bethany's got the card, but people are theorising that super
She's
brain
using her-
super brain Lauren memorised their card number and 3 special digits on the back, and then she rooted around her purse that
so
one
here's
time.
the question then. Where is she that she's ordering food? She's obviously not being held captive.
And not dead.
She's not dead.
It's all going to tie into the reveal of Lauren, I tell you.
But anyway, I think I would be a lot more tolerant of this if it wasn't for the fact that they're undermining Bethany as a character by the fact that she's supposed to be some hotshot reporter. But like, Shona has to walk her through the idea. Like,
Shona's a smart cookie. We
I know,
found
but
this
listen,
out with
I
her
said this
plan
to you.
on Friday and all.
Didn't I say this the other day? Was it in the Corrie Eliminator? About being a reporter, you either have to be super smart and educated, like, you know, kind of like Daniel thinks he is, or you have to have street smarts, or you have to be good with people. And this is what Shona was. She was like socially engineering the people on the phone to give her information. Bethany can't do any of those things. How is she a reporter? She's not. She's crap. She's a disgrace to the profession.
Let's get back to the Nina stuff, because that was really... And Roy not being...
Well, no, I didn't like this either, because...
Oh, didn't you?
Well, no, I don't like Roy being awkward and
Roy has
selfish.
been awkward for the past 30 years,
He's
but this is a different type of awkwardness, isn't
he's
it?
being enabled by everybody here, because it's all very well being like, oh, I'm going to be a recluse and I'm going to live in the atelier and everyone can leave me alone because I'm like the Phantom of the Opera. No, you're not. You're a man who employs people, who runs a business, and you're just passing everything on to your employees, one of whom is barely out of her teenage years, and expecting her to pick up the slack because she's just being an arse. Get down and do some work.
He's had some harrowing times.
He doesn't
doesn't look good. I'm glad
but isn't it so convenient for him that everyone's available to take... To pick the slack up for him.
Well, they're not. That's the problem.
Well,
Bernie's not available because she's doing
they
that stuff
are,
with
though.
Kit. Alex isn't available because he's having a 5-day bender in Amsterdam.
Well, I don't want to know what he's getting up to in Amsterdam.
Yet again, Alex gets mentioned with booze.
Well, I don't think it's just booze, Michael.
Booze and drugs and whatever. I just don't believe Alex is... What people say about Alex is not the Alex that we ever see.
I want to say that I believe that David had the best solution here.
What was his...
He said, if Roy's refusing to come down and you can't do the work... Because Nina was working without a break. Put the clothes sign on and bugger off home.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I'm sorry. I know that it's really... What's the word of me? I'm not being sympathetic to him at all, but you owe it to other people. You can't just bugger everything off and go and be sad somewhere. That's not how it works.
Come on, Roy.
There's I've said this before on the podcast, but there's another podcast I listened to. Last podcast on the left, Marcus Parks. The quote: "Your mental health is not your fault, but it is your responsibility." You got to take responsibility for yourself. You can't just sit in the dark like Batman. You're not a millionaire. You got to go and do some work. Anyway, everyone's working their fingers to the bone, or sacking off, like you said. Bernie and Alex and everyone not doing any work. Shona's trying to smoke him out by saying that she's ill, and Nina's just running around trying to do everything. Yasmin's worried. And then you get Bethany coming in saying, oh, there's some CCTV.
Yeah, Shona's helped. I don't know what went on there. So then, just to make things a little bit easier, on the Friday episode, I've separated out the Roy stuff from the Gary and Sarah stuff.
How useful. Thank
so
you
this
very
is
much.
the Roy stuff.
The Roy
first.
stuff. Nina, again, working hard. Evelyn begrudgingly agrees to help out. Why is she acting like this too?
What?
Everyone's just being enabling him anyway. So everybody's annoyed. And that's before you include me.
Roy's just got a buzz finger out there, agree, don't they?
Shona turns up the bistro because she's been pretending to be sick.
I love
to try
this.
to
I love
force
this. Is a great little ruse.
Roy out of hiding. Meanwhile, Nina and Evelyn are up in Roy's flat trying to convince him to come down. Oh, don't you care about your business? He's like, no, don't make me feel guilty. Stop it.
I can't even remember now why he... Is it just... Has he not want people to have a go at him, or is it because...
I don't remember them saying.
I think they did. I think he's got a good reason, but I don't remember what the reason is that he's locking himself away.
Whatever the reason was, I didn't catch it. So I apologise. Again, I'm very unsympathetic here.
He just doesn't want to face the wrath of anybody that comes, wanting to take a pop at him. I can't remember. Maybe if we knew, we'd be more sympathetic. But anyway,
the thing that's getting me a bit is the fact that he owns this business, and so he makes money whether he's there or not. And so it's all very convenient for him that he can just cry in his bed while everyone makes money downstairs for him, and he just got
Tell you
£20 notes.
If Hayley was around, she'd get him to pull his finger out, wouldn't she? She'd drag him down the stairs.
It's one thing when the consequences are squarely on your shoulders. Even that's bad enough. But when you're actually doing it to the detriment of other people, to be sad. I know. Look, don't tell me about mental health. I've had my own struggles myself. But you got to take some responsibility for yourself, and he is not. And he's leaving it all to people who he's already... I know it's hard. Trust me, I know it's hard. But just let me take out my frustrations here on this fictional character.
You're being a bit harsh. He's fine by the end of the episode.
I am, but I think there's more to it than this. I think something's going to happen.
I'll do.
But I apologise if this is upsetting anybody. It's not about you though. It's about this fictional character. So we won't project. We'll just allow our rage to come out. Okay. Just focus it on one person who's not real. It's okay. Anyway, the fire alarm goes off.
Oh yeah, because everything's the toaster's gone.
The toaster's going.
Yeah. This is when Roy comes down.
Yeah. He agrees to help out. He's back on form. He's helping Kirk. Nina says, "I want to have a break," and Evelyn says, "No. What if Roy has troubles?"
Yeah, Roy. It's Evelyn saying, "Look, I don't know whether Roy can manage here on his own if you disappear off." Because Evelyn, but she doesn't say, "Don't worry, I'll stay and help a bit longer." I think she's maybe got a shift.
But you see what I mean? There's a difference there between somebody helping somebody and doing it for them, and at the end of the day, even though I don't think this is actually the solution, because everyone thinks, "Oh, he's fine because he's caught up in, the busyness of the cafe," and he even says himself, "I think it's done me good." That's my point.
Okay.
You can't just wallow.
He's fine by the end, but is there something else that he's not fine about? Is basically where that ends. Everyone's happy to see him, even Fizz. I thought it was nice that we got Fizz back again in today's episode. Very brief reappearance of Fizz, but I have just been saying recently, where is she? Because she came back months ago and we've not seen her since. So we had those scenes in the factory, which we haven't talked about yet, and here in the cafe. And I was kind of hoping that Fizz might step in and become involved in this story, because when Fizz came into the show, it was literally when she was being fostered by Roy and Hayley. So there's always been this bit of a connection between them. Now I know that within days of her appearing on the street, she was accusing Roy of sexual harassment against her, but they've gone past this, and I was hoping that Fizz and Roy might get a lovely heartwarming scene together, but we didn't.
Yeah.
But at least they shared a scene together, which is probably the first time in a decade that that's actually happened. Anyway, that was the Roy stuff.
He seems fine, and I'm sorry again for not being sympathetic. Does anyone else feel the same way about it as I do? Because I know he's a really beloved character. I don't want to incur the wrath of the Roy stans here.
Roy Stan Cropper.
But is anyone else feeling it like I am, or everybody really sympathetic? Because I think the thing is about, and they do this to women characters more often, but they're doing it a bit to Roy here, where they take somebody who's universally beloved or is recognised as a strong person or a good character, and then they kind of batter them.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying was happening with Toya at the moment, and many other women in the past. So it's maybe it is just a bit equal opportunities.
Yeah, and then you end up with a husk, and they react badly to things.
What's been going on with Sarah Louise this week, Gemma?
I don't like it, no matter who they do it to, and I don't particularly find it good with Roy. That's all I'm saying. Sorry. Kit.
You have had a few ciders, haven't you?
No.
Definitely not, says Gemma.
No, look. See?
Is that empty bottle and that
what,
can from another time?
Of Thatcher Zero.
Oh, Thatcher Zero.
Thanks
I do
very
apologise. I do apologise.
This is just me.
Right, come on. Sarah
Kit
stuff.
chats with Sarah in the cafe, and she says that Swain's onto the hush money that she bunged Nathan.
Yeah.
But Sarah says she didn't.
I never did that.
She didn't actually do that.
I'd kind of forgotten what had gone on here. But this was when, well, I mean, it makes itself clear as the rest of the episode goes on. But Gary, a few weeks,
Gary gave
months
her
ago,
£10,000 to give to Nathan.
yeah,
to tell
out
him
of the
to shut
factory
up
money, which
because-
Maria doesn't know about.
No. So Maria's like, oh, can you come home early because it's Liam's birthday? I gave birth to him on a beach. I don't know if you listened to the quiz, but that was quite an important part of his story. Sarah comes over. She wants to talk to him about the factory business.
Supposedly.
It's a ruse. She says, oh, there's a patch. But it's not that at all. Maria's like, why is she going on about a bloody patch? You sold this place ages ago. It's
Nothing to do with you.
Sarah gets called in to the police station and she's being interviewed, nay, grilled by Swain about this. She's not been very nice, has she? Swain.
No.
She's given her a hard time. She's saying, look,
She's doing her job.
we've gone through Nathan's finances. We've discovered that he deposited £10,000 into his account, which is a bit suspicious. So we asked him about it, and he says it was you who gave it to him. And she's like, no, I would never. I don't know what you mean. And then Swain says, Nathan changed his statement too about the fact that he was attacked. And it happened to be around the same time, well, actually just after, he got given this money. And then she says, did you pervert the course of justice? Do you know who attacked Mr. Curtis? And did you hand over £10,000 to buy his silence? And then there's a little break. And so I was like, oh, I did
She sings like a canary.
I did. Oh, I paid him to leave Weatherfield and he bloody didn't. And she says, oh, you a mother. And someone's like, irrelevant.
I am actually. She's just come into the show. You may
Yes,
know
I am.
her, but
And she's
that's nothing to do with this.
She's a scallywag with a heart of gold,
And
actually.
she's got a phone addiction, it seems.
And she's also blackmailing people. But that's irrelevant. Sarah has to admit that she got this money from a generous friend. And Swain's like, oh, Damon then, is it? And Sarah says, no, it wasn't Damon. And Swain says, well, you're going to have to say who gave it to you. Otherwise, there's some other rule that you've broken that we can get you for. I can't remember what it was. But you can't take money from criminals, even though Gary's a criminal too.
Well, she says, are you saying that you paid Nathan off with dirty money? And that's
it's
all
all
it needs to
dirty
be.
money, isn't it? It's all dirt. Do you think she's a communist? She's like, the system of capitalism. You're invested in it too. You're a criminal.
So, the Windasses are celebrating Liam's birthday later, and this is when Sarah comes in and is like, I really need to speak to you.
So Gary's like, oh, I remembered that I haven't got any salty popcorn. I'll just be back in a minute. So he goes. Maria smells a rat immediately. Sarah's telling Gary that they have to prove the money came from him, otherwise she's going to get in trouble. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? Oh, fine, okay. But then Maria turns up. She's very suspicious. And they're like, oh, Liam's birthday anyway. Sorry, just see you later. Bye. And she's like, I think this was planned, this meeting.
Yes. I'm guessing this is all going to converge next week, but I can't say that the relations between Maria and Gary and will they, won't they split up are particularly of interest to me at the moment. Maybe they were when the bullying story was going on, but it feels like too much time has passed now.
We did say at the time, this 10 grand, Gary's very laissez-faire with it, and it doesn't seem to have been brought up again. And now they're bringing it up again, but it's not the fact that it was 10 grand that's the problem, which is the big sticking point for me, that I would never in my life give anyone that much money for literally no reason, unless they gave me a receipt where I owed them 10,000. How have you got £10,000?
Gary's just Mr. Nice Guy, isn't
Why
he?
is he? All right. Why is he sitting in a basement selling stuffed ferrets and cuckoo clocks for 20 quid a pop when he's sitting on 10 grand from? I know. There's a reason because Liam needs his therapy and everything. Just say it's his birthday present. You save money that way.
So this story was kind of a pootling along nicely story for me. It wasn't anything huge. There was a few good bits. I enjoyed I'm trying to find the good in all these stories at the moment after being less than positive about the Toyah one. But this little scene where Kurt comes up to Nina and is ordering this massive unhealthy sandwich, and then he says "on brown" at the end, and she's like, "Oh yeah, oh it's Evelyn, isn't it?" And Evelyn's like, "Oh, that's for your health, is it?" That was kind of funny, but I wasn't like on the edge of my seat for any of this stuff particularly, but maybe I will be next week.
I'm really surprised that this £10,000 has come up.
Why?
Really interesting. Well, it just seemed to be one of those silly throwaway bits.
No, if Gary's Gary's given it away to the woman that his wife is suspecting that he's having an affair with, that's not going to go forgotten.
But you see what I mean, though, about I've said before about this isn't a murder mystery show. And so the clues they do latch onto are just the ones that get someone in trouble for having an affair, not the actual clues that would lead to like you revealing somebody was a murderer or whatever. Right.
Is this the Joel's story? Almost. We got the Will stuff. The Joel stuff is next, and this is all about. Basically, to cut a long story short, it's to do with him and Dee Dee deciding to move in together, isn't it?
I couldn't believe that Adam was still living there. I know that we haven't been told he moved out, but the fact that Adam is still bunking up in the same room, in the same house as Dee Dee, all this time, just get a life, Adam.
Well, he does, doesn't
he?
Why
are you living with your boss?
By midway through Monday, Adam's saying, "Oh, that's fine if Joel wants to move in with you. In fact, I'll start looking for a new roommate straight away." I think people by Monday's episode, before it all went wrong with Toyah, were thinking, "Oh, maybe Toyah and Adam are going to bunk up together, they're going to shack up somewhere."
Oh, yeah, because she was looking for somewhere to live.
Yeah, but I'm wondering whether I've been burnt already by this on Coronation Street this year, like when Daisy was told, "Oh, well, you need to find somewhere else to live," and then we didn't see any of it, and then she's just back in the Rovers again. Toyah even a few weeks ago said, "I need to find somewhere else to live," and then didn't. Is Adam saying, "I'll find somewhere else to live"? Is that code for him saying, I'm not going to be in the show for a little while until I need to move back to this flat again"? I don't know, but anyway.
The reason, can they just point out, because this is. The reason why he has to move out is because Joel and Dee Dee can't live in the same... They can't sleep in the same bed. So Joel's been forced to sleep on the sofa. Yeah. If I was Adam, I wouldn't be happy with this anyway, because I'm not getting up in the morning, going to make myself a cup of tea with a man sleeping on the sofa. If you don't want to sleep in the same bed, sleep on the floor in the same room.
Adam should have got the point that he was being a bit of a gooseberry by this point anyway.
I know, why does he have to be told to move out? How much these people...
he's super rich. He can afford his own place.
By profession, these two, Dee Dee and Adam, should be earning the most out of anybody. Why are they bunking up together in a flat above his shop?
Anyway...
Don't ask questions.
What else was going on with this? She's happy, and she goes off at the end of the episode to go and get some celebratory booze or whatever, and meanwhile Joel is still getting demanding texts from Betsy, and he just says, "Look, just get out of my life. I'll give you some more money, but bugger off." Alone. So Friday, what?
Well, I was gonna say, oh yeah, now Joel's moving in. Because he kept saying, he's the one that pushed it a little bit here, because he kept saying, "Oh, my lease is up, I don't know what to do, I don't know whether to renew it or not, I don't really want to." So he was really angling there and hinting that he didn't want to...
So he wants a base of operations with Dee Dee.
But this is my question, what, he's got up to no good, and then he's going to move in with Dee Dee. How's he going to hide his clandestine activities? Well, unless he thinks he's going to go...
There's only hints that he has got a bunch of girls locked away in some basement somewhere, isn't there? As far as we know, from what we've been told on the show so far, he's been a bit funny for the last year, according to Mr. and Mrs. Deering. He bludgeoned Lauren. He's got, what's-her-face, Ellie in his pocket a little bit, but I think he's trying not to... It feels like he's trying to distance himself from that dodgy life, maybe.
Do you think he's trying to put it behind him? And so he's doing it... He's kind of set himself up in a way where it's going to make life too difficult for him to kill again. Yeah. And so he thinks that if he's...
It's
if
a
he's done
distraction
that,
from murdering, just
yeah.
moving in with Dee Dee. But it's
I
not
don't think the
not a
strategy
very
is gonna
good
work.
idea to move in on the street where Betsy has suddenly started hanging around. And now she's working over at Underworld. Not that he knows this yet, I don't think. But that's what Friday's episode's all about. And she's there on work experience.
Because Swain's got Betsy, her daughter,
Yes.
some work experience with Carla
Yes.
in the factory.
This was the other scene we had Fizz in, and it was just kind of nice because has Fizz taken on the supervisor role now?
That was what I was going to say. I forgot earlier when I was talking about, the new producer, interim producer, is there some glimmer of hope here with the Chariot Square stuff? But also the factory scenes, we got to see people working on the machines. And I know it was just because Betsy was learning, but it was really nice to see that wide shot of the factory with people moving around. And
Dirk was there, wasn't he, having a lurk?
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I appreciated that Fizz has clearly grown in maturity and she's become a better boss with her time away in Norwich or Norfolk or wherever she was. Yeah. So, I just thought it was funny having them standing around in the background, Fizz and Carla, while Betsy was being accosted by Kirk, banging on about I can't remember what, and they're like, "Shall we rescue her from Kirk?" Nah. But yes, the main crux of the action for this story today is that she's texting away, presumably Joel. Well, it definitely is Joel later on, isn't it? And Carla's like, stop doing that. I'm going to confiscate your phone. I loved it when she was like, this feels like school. And Carla's like, yeah, whatever. That was kind of a glimpse of the old Carla, wasn't it? Like, yeah, I am Queen Bee here. I am the headmistress. Yeah, I'm going to crack the whip a bit.
Yeah.
But, Betsy, considering that she's supposed to be making herself look good and she wants to do this work experience, I suppose, she should be falling over herself to
this is the attitude
not
of
be
Michael.
narky and eye-rolly with her boss. But anyway,
you gotta learn somehow.
Lisa Swain, as I call her, comes into the factory towards the end of the episode to give Betsy a lift, and this is when Carla says, look, you can have your daughter's phone back as well, and Swain notices that she's got a message from JD.
JD.
Bottle of whiskey calling her.
Yeah.
Or is it my sister? Or is it Joel?
I think it's
Joel. I think it's Joel. Swain says,
is it a boy?
Is it a boyfriend? And Betsy kind of goes along with this.
Maybe.
But I think that now, at some point, Swain's going to remember, like, if ever Joel becomes under suspicion or, I don't know.
JD?
Yeah, there's going to be a, you knew somebody called JD, and it'll be a little bit tenuous because people do share initials. But yeah, I guess that's going to come into play somewhere. Yeah, Jason Donovan.
Jason Donovan, ex-star of Neighbours. Are you being poached by another soap and you've only just started? Betsy Swain. Can't believe you. You leveraging your contract here to get a job in Australia.
Yeah, now that Toadie's leaving.
There's a gap in the market.
In Ramsey Street
for a lovable
for Betsy. Yeah, exactly. Right, so finally, let's just crack on with a silly ill will story, which is over this week. Go on. This is you, is it me?
Marion told George, get rid of all this stuff because Archie's belongings from the house that Glenda has ejected is just filling up the space, and Marion wants to do jazzercise or whatever. So George goes into the pub, talk to Glenda, and she says, I've got you a storage locker for all the rest of it too, and here's the bill. And you deserve it because you cut me out of Dad's legacy like I don't exist. And Michael comes in wants to talk to her, and George can see that Glenn's kind of like, we're a bit excited, and there's a bit of a frisson in the air. But then he also learns that they've split up with each other. So he comes back later to George to speak to Glenda, and he tells her that Michael's told him everything about the split. And she says, look, I hate round with you. I feel like I'm in over my head
here.
It
split me up from the first boyfriend I've ever had on the programme.
I know. It's my first Corrie boyfriend. And
never forget your first.
George finally comes to the resolution that we've been suggesting from the beginning, which I'm sure everyone else has, is that they just split everything. And he says, just have the house. I want you to have it. So Glenda gives him a hug. And
that's the end of that story.
And George is watching Glenda like a hawk because there's a few sort of hints that she's still into Michael, and perhaps partly the reason why George has relented in this is that he can see it's damaging his sister's relationship.
Oh, well done. It's only taken you a month to realise that.
And that he really wants her to have love and happiness And a great big house.
And Jodie was pretty good in her performances there, because she's standing at the bar, like trying to put on the barmaid's front,
yeah.
but clearly lip wobbling a bit and struggling to hold it together. But seriously, is that the end of the spat? In a way, I kind of really, really hope it is the end, because it's been ridiculous. But the fact that it's like fight, and you can have the house. Okay, there was no reason particularly why then was the right moment for him to offer the house, apart from it came after the split with Michael.
Yeah.
But that story, it could have just been back and forth with them for 1 week or for 6 months, and then it could have ended in exactly the same way. It was not a great story, I'm gonna say.
I did love that, the resolution, and I love how George is protective of her and stuff. And then I go, no, I don't like it, because you took something away to give it back. And I think that's like a weakness sometimes of soaps, where they take something away from you to make you miss it, and then they give it back and expect you to be happy. And sometimes it does work out and sometimes it doesn't. I know. This didn't really work because it felt artificial.
It really, really did. Okay, that was quite a long street talk, wasn't it? I did speak quite a lot in it. I hope you're not sick of me, because there's still a bit of news and correspondence still to come.
Yes.
So I've not forgotten that. But what are we going to score this week's Coronation Street, and who shall we give the character of the week to?
I'm going to give my character of the week to the one that said that Leanne was a hoe.
What a random woman in there.
Random cult member 5.
Any main characters you'd like to make your second choice there?
I don't agree with bringing people's past dalliances into ill repute, just for the record. I've got to say. It's not Roy.
Definitely not Roy. I'm gonna...
Kit is mine, because he's a mischievous devil.
Okay, you can give Kit your character of the week. I don't... I kind of would like to give it to somebody in that, as much as I hated the story, it was also the one that got me...
Which one?
The Toyah story. All the other stories were just kind of, they were okay. Like the Paul and Gemma story, I've got a few issues with. The bust storyline, it was just kind of a bit of fluff. Roy kind of wound me up a little bit. Everything else, there wasn't much. So the real meat of this week was in the Institute story, as much as I don't support the direction that the story has gone in now. I think I would like to. I think I might give it to Leanne. I think I'll give it to Leanne this week.
Excellent.
I thought that Jane was fantastic. I thought that
Jane gave some great performances.
I think that even though she's had her issues with Toyah, as soon as Leanne found out that she was, having a few stomach problems and getting into hospital, she kind of immediately dropped everything and was there to support her, which is kind of what I would hope that this all ends up with, that they all make up in the end. But yeah, it could have been her or Toyah, but I think I'm going to give it to Leanne this week. And I am going to score this week's Coronation Street. I'm going to give it 3 hammers for hammering out of 5, which is what Cassie gave to Steve.
I'm going to give it
1.
3 busts of Tommy Orpington, which looks a bit like Ronaldo.
Nice.